Good evening and welcome to tonight's regular meeting of the Board of Education. This meeting is called to order at 3:59 p.m. Roll call, please.
Ms. Armstrong? Ms. Armstrong? Dr. Alhassan?
Here.
Mrs. Garza?
Here.
Ms. Stewart?
Present.
Mr. Critchfield?
Present.
Ms. Armstrong, are you with us?
Renita, can you hear us?
Miss Armstrong, are you with us?
Is it a technical difficulty that we can give you a couple of minutes, or? Is she planning on being in closed session?
Yes.
She is.
Okay. All right, I'm going to move on unless staff, do you need it? Do you need a couple minutes to figure it out? Because I know I heard her on the phone earlier.
For
Okay.
the minutes, can you just take note of the time that she was with you?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
All right, tonight we do not have requests addressing closed session agenda items. At this time, the board will adjourn to closed session and open session will resume at approximately 6 p.m. Thank you. No. Good evening. We'll now reconvene to open session at 6 p.m. to resume our regularly scheduled business. Board Clerk Meyer Garza will now provide an update on closed session topics.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. The topics discussed in closed session were pending litigation, labor negotiations. The board took action in closed session to approve the settlement agreement related to student 0080.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And tonight we do not have any replacement pages, and we have one request addressing agenda or non-agenda items. While the governing board are not public meetings, they are open to the public. Individual speakers will be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda item or non-agenda item, and the board will limit the total time for public input on each item to 21 minutes as per board bylaw 9322.2. May I have Carrie McDaniel to the podium, please? Welcome, Carrie.
Thank you. So good evening, Interim Superintendent Ms. Azevedo, Board President Critchfield, board members, cabinets, and guests. I'm here tonight to talk about the bond measure on tonight's agenda. I've listened to the previous meetings and would like to say a few things as a teacher in this district for over 20 years. Our schools need love, and it's more love than the district budget can always give. Our classrooms need updating. We need collaborative spaces. Our schools need new bathrooms. They need paint. They need landscaping. And I know all of that I know that it costs money to pass a bond, but I really don't think that our schools can afford to wait another 2 or even 4 years. We are competing with school districts whose schools look nicer and classrooms who are updated. And to be honest, the community should be allowed to decide if they want to invest in our schools. If the community doesn't want to invest the $222 a year, then they will vote no. But if you don't give this bond measure a chance, there's no alternative except for the district to pay for these things out of its own budget. So I urge all of you tonight to vote yes to move this process to the next step. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Do we have any corrections to the agenda tonight?
No corrections.
Thank you. And now I'd like to call Somerset Principal Dr. Jamie Jalk. Is that close at ballpark?
It was very close.
How do you say it? I want to know.
Jouk.
Jouk. To lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Please rise and place your right hand over your heart and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you for that. And I also believe you have an inspirational message for us.
I do. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Dr. Jamie Jauk, and I'm incredibly proud to be here tonight representing Somerset High School as its principal. August brings with it the start of a new school year, and every school year provides the opportunity for us to make a fresh start. As leaders, we evaluate what worked well and areas that could be improved upon, and we set the intention to be better versions of ourselves for the students we serve. Our students, too, don new hairstyles and try new classes and activities and set out to present themselves as the individuals they choose to be this year. There's a sort of magic in the beginning of something. There's a sense of optimism that good things can and will happen because a change has taken place. This is one of the wonderful things about Somerset High School. Somerset offers that opportunity for students to have a fresh start, a do-over when they get out off track with their credits. This opportunity allows students to graduate early or return to their home schools. During the 23-24 school year, 41 Somerset students graduated early, and 13 who worked hard and made up the credits they needed to graduate on time transferred back to Bellflower and Mayfair high schools. 7 more students will be returning next week after catching up on their credits at Somerset, and 4 more are poised to transfer back in the spring semester. Because of Bellflower Unified School District's alternative ed programs and the opportunities provided at Somerset, we have had 7 students who are non-grads in June of the 23-24 school year earn a Somerset diploma through adult reentry and Somerset High School classes in this past month. Also this summer, 2 adult students from local non-public schools received Somerset diplomas. Dr. Ivan Varela and Ms. Belinda Davila collaborated to monitor their progress and keep them motivated to finish their high school diploma requirements. A parent of one of these students commented that this opportunity altered her child's life for the better. To the staff members who supported her child, she said, quote, "Thanks for being a listening ear. Thanks for all the IEP meetings. Thanks for all the advocacy. Thank you for helping our family. Thanks for being a champion." These staff members did more than just their jobs. They were change agents. Buddha tells us that each morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters most. My goal this year is to keep this sentiment in my mind each morning throughout the year, because every day provides us the opportunity to start fresh with the optimism of August. The choice we make each day is to be the best versions of ourselves. The choice we make to be the best versions of ourselves can help bring about positive changes in the lives of our students and our own lives. Together, we can build a better future for Bellflower students and the larger community we serve. I'm excited to see all of the positive things that will happen this school year. And thank you for having me tonight.
Awesome. Thank you for that, and welcome to the BUSD family. And hello to all the new smiling faces in the audience, too. Welcome. Moving on to our community communications, can I have up again BTA President Carrie McDaniel? Come on down.
I don't normally talk twice in one board meeting, but okay. So good evening again. So Bellflower teachers have been participating in the BUSD Summer Institute. I've attended the last 4 days and for the most part have enjoyed the experience. We still have some room to grow, but overall teachers are feeling valued and are happy to finally get much needed PD that wasn't after school. We've waited for years to get ViewSonic training and it was really great. I hope the surveys reflect the positivity that I have seen and discussed from the teachers with the members. Our BTA board spent 2 days last week at our union office planning for the school year. We've set 3 goals for the year to include increased member engagement and participation, increased CTA staff-led training, and creating a concise calendar and budget for the year. My team is excited for the new school year, and we are looking forward to building a culture of collaboration. Next week, we look forward to meeting our newly hired teachers. Anna has been sending updates, and as of today, we have 16 new teachers that we'll meet on Monday. I wanted to share a couple of things that have come to my mind over the past couple of days. I feel that BUSD is moving in the right direction. The last 4 days have brought together educators who are excited to learn new things and refine what they might have already known. We've had a chance to build that Bellflower family that many of us have been missing. And like I mentioned earlier, teachers are feeling valued and listened to, and I hope that continues. There's no perfect district, and we always have room for improvement. But I feel that if we continue to invest in the people and structures, we are moving in the right direction. We look forward to the district breakfast on Tuesday, and I am personally excited to bring back a tradition that I loved when I was a new teacher. It is always awesome to be able to see all the BUSD employees in one area and celebrate a new school year. Thank you and have a great night.
Thank you, Carrie. Can I have CSEA Representative Anthony Ramirez to the podium? Welcome, Anthony.
Well, good evening. My name is Anthony Ramirez. I'm the California School Employee Association Bellflower Chapter Number 32 Communications Officer. Gosh, I need to take a breath after that sentence. Board President Critchfield and all board members, Superintendent Azevedo and Cabinet, teachers, staff, and members of the public, good evening, everybody. I'm here to give you a brief update on what our CSEA bargaining unit has been doing over the last couple of weeks. We recently sent some delegates to the 2024 CSEA State Conference. Along with delegates from our neighboring school districts, we collaborated on issues that affect all of us who work in public education. One thing we authorized was for CSEA to continue fighting hard to pass state legislation that changes the funding model for all school districts, to base it on enrollment rather than average daily attendance. We also took some classes on specific subjects while we were there, such as how to understand the interaction and how a school district budget works. Changing subjects, I do want to recognize that many classified school employees work all year long, including during the summer break, getting schools and offices and campuses ready for the coming year. We look forward to seeing all classified employees at the upcoming staff breakfast, and I'd like to take this opportunity to remind you that some classified workers might not get to fully enjoy the breakfast or the motivational speaker, because they're going to be working the whole time. We have food service workers, custodians, campus security workers, even some technology technicians like myself are examples of how dedicated Bellflower Unified classified workers are present at and providing vital and sometimes invisible support to every district event. Finally, we look forward to working with the district to finish our collective bargaining agreement negotiations, which also includes securing our health and welfare benefits for this year. Thank you for allowing me to share this brief update with you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. May I have PTA President Linda Morgan to the podium? No? Never mind. Superintendent report. Lisa, take it away.
Yes, sir. So good evening. I believe we have a slideshow that's going to pop up for everyone tonight. I have a few photographs that were taken this week during the district-wide staff professional development days that Ms. McDaniel was speaking about. So we're going to see a few pictures here pop up. Mrs. Carter and her staff did a great job organizing multiple trainings at various locations throughout the district to serve any staff member who signed up for these optional training days. I'll pause just a second so you can see some of these pictures. So on the 2 days the district arranged, we had multiple locations with staff attending different trainings on different topics that they signed up for. And then the most recent 2 days, staff were attending PD organized at the sites. And the next set of pictures that you're going to see were taken at the Bellflower Summer Street Fest. So most recently, Bellflower Unified had a booth at one of the most recent days on Bellflower Boulevard. And we were out there with our staff, taking pictures of students and asking them what they look forward to most about school starting soon. There's all their adorable pictures. So we're looking forward to having all of our students and our staff back this upcoming week. We're all very busy, as Mr. Ramirez shared. Everyone's busy getting ready for that special time. So this evening, you noticed in the front row here, we have some new faces that we'd like to introduce. I'm proud to introduce to our board the new BUSD administrative team members, and these are new members, brand new to our district. New elementary principals, maybe when we call your name, you can kind of stand and wave so they know who you are. So new elementary principal serving Albert Baxter Elementary, we have Eddie Cruz. Welcome. New to Ernie Pyle Elementary, we have Julia Gavilanes. New to Stephen Foster Elementary, we have Georgia Diomedes. New to Somerset High School, and you just met her a few minutes ago, is Miss Jamie Jock. Elementary assistant principals, Nancy Lopez Hernandez. Krista Jackson. Joshua Stern. Nancy Rojas. Katie Azevedo Torres. And Tony Caballero, but Tony was unable to join us tonight. So congratulations to all of the site admin. We also have some new special education program administrators that we'd like to introduce. Casey Carroll, Alma Ellis, and Patricia Carrillo. New school psychologist, Samantha Head. And finally, new Mid-City SELPA Director, Diana Zepeda McZeal. Congratulations to all of you, and welcome to Bellflower Unified. Thank you for joining us tonight. So, as you can imagine, very busy time of year for all of our staff. We're happily preparing for the first day of school next week. We're also making all the arrangements for the all-district welcome breakfast that you've heard mentioned a little bit tonight. That's happening this coming Tuesday. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank all of our staff for their commitment to serve this community, and I look forward to an outstanding year. So thank you all again.
Thank you, Ms. Azevedo. And again, thank you for being with us here, and welcome to the BUSD family. One big round of applause for all the new faces in the audience. It's going to be a great year. I do want to make one comment. Because I know we had some technical difficulties earlier, but board member Armstrong is with us from Texas, so she's on. I just want to make sure that's noted in the minutes that she's here. And now we will be moving on to our first discussion item. Ms. Azevedo.
Yes, this evening, staff will be providing an update on our district facilities. Director of Maintenance and Operations, Patrick Turner, along with his staff, Curtis Ballard, Vince Thornton, Kevin Mays, and Rick Sanchez will be providing an update. We also have our architects, Robert Bender and Rand Nickel, joining to provide the board with additional information this evening. So thank you, Patrick.
Thank you for having me. Okay, so I would like to say good evening, President Critchfield, board members, Superintendent Azevedo, and Cabinet. Our objective tonight is to update the board on some highlights of what we've been doing in the district with facilities, maintenance, operations, and transportation. Tonight, we're also going to have our architects come up, and they're going to present some of the things that they are currently doing and give us some updates on the things that they've been doing. We have Rand Nickel here from Rand Nickel Architect. He'll be our first presenter. Then we'll have Bob Bender and John Gomer, and they're from Westberg and White Architects. So they'll come up, and they'll present what they have going on. Then you get me and my team. We're gonna tag team you. We have a lot to talk about, and I'll be honest with you. Dan Buffington, okay, has a lot to do with the things that's happening tonight. We'll discuss those things, but he asked me last year before he retired. He asked me that I want to run in a track meet. And I said, well, what kind of track meet is this? He said, well, we're going to run a relay race. And we ran the race, and he was the third leg. And he handed the baton off to me. I'm the fourth leg, but I'm still running. He didn't tell me it wasn't going to end. So right now, I'm going to bring up Rand Nickel, and he'll start the presentation.
Thank you, Board, for the opportunity to speak to everyone tonight and to bring you up to speed with what we have going. The first slide up there is talking about the Bellflower Science, and I'm sure that you have lots of questions about that, but I have several small projects that are currently under construction and that I just wanted to bring you up to speed on those. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me and ask at any time. Las Flores. Las Flores, we have a shade structure that is scheduled to go in. It's currently approved at DSA, and purchasing Deborah Smith is preparing the bid on that one. Because summers are so busy with manufacturers and everything, this manufacturer of this shade shelter, and this is the same shelter that we put in on multiple sites when we did a whole round of shade shelters 2 or 3 years ago. Their summers are just full, so we're currently waiting for an opportunity for the manufacturer to get it into production. Right now, we're anticipating the same size that has gone in on all the elementaries, a 30 by 44 structure that will be on the back playground. And then probably start of construction in early October. The next project, Somerset High School, we have a digital marquee. It's under construction right now. We poured foundations last week. The marquee itself is constructed, and they're just waiting for curing up the concrete in order to set the sign and then bring the power. And then it is wireless, and so the controls of the data. That being said, we're probably looking at setting the sign sometime mid to late next week, and then probably within a month, 3 to 4 weeks, it will be operational. The next project, district-wide playgrounds. We have playgrounds equipment replacement going in all over the place. Currently, we started with ILC. We have completed ILC. We are at Foster. We have completed 2 of the 4 playground areas there. We're anticipating being done there within the next week or 2, and then they move on to Williams. Again, this is a manufacturer that, they do a lot of their own installation. And so what happens is during the summer, you kind of get one construction team. As soon as we get through this summer, we're getting a second team, so we will actually have 2 different teams, probably 2 schools going at one time. So the pace of installation will pick up. Currently, we're probably looking at 5 weeks a school to complete with the one team. And so with 2 teams, with 2 teams, we'll probably go through a school in 3 weeks. So every 3 weeks, we anticipate being able to move from another school. So the intent is to try to be done towards the end of this year with all campuses. The next project, fire alarms. We have 4 campuses with new fire alarms. We currently have, it was bid as one package. So we have one contractor going to do all 4 schools. Bellflower High School is under construction, and Woodruff is under construction. So we have 2 teams. One team at Bellflower High School that will stay there, and that is anticipated to be about a 12-month process. And then, you kind of say, why does it take 12 months? You have to maintain the existing fire alarm system intact and operational. So we technically are maintaining an existing fire alarm system when we put in a parallel fire alarm system. And then once that is up and running and tested and certified, you can then start back into the buildings, removing the old fire alarm system and patching the surfaces. So Bellflower is anticipated to take a year. The 3 elementary schools, they're kind of anticipated to be 3 to 4 months each. So Woodruff and Bellflower both started about a month and a half ago. Woodruff is going to be done probably, the fire alarm system the new system is expected to be done in a couple of weeks so they can start removing the old system. Once school starts, they will be working like 3:30 on. So it's within the bid for them to work a late shift so they don't disrupt the campus in any way. So we're finishing up at Woodruff, and Then we move from Woodruff, we are going to move on to Jefferson. And then from Jefferson, that same team will move on to Williams. So we're kind of anticipating Williams to start. Actually, Williams will go next. So we're anticipating Williams to start in October, and then Jefferson to start in February, and then complete about the end of the school year. Bellflower High School under construction right now. What we've been concentrating on in the summer is all the undergrounds. So anywhere we're putting a trench together and we have to get conduit in the ground, we are getting all that in the ground. It will be, I was out there yesterday, it will be all patched back in before kids are back on Thursday. So there's no barricades, bridges or anything like that, the tunnels that the kids have to walk through for safety measures. Again, Bellflower High School, they'll start working after school, about 3:30 into the evening. I believe their schedule is set from 3:30 to 11. So those are the fire alarm projects. Betsy Ross, the ILC modular classrooms. We have 2 modular classrooms going in over at the kindergarten area. These are on grade level concrete foundations, so there's no ramps or anything. And so we're pouring all new concrete, like kind of a plaza out in front of it, and tying these things back in to the existing utilities on the campus. These are modulars in which we are building bathrooms inside them. So they're going to have, in the back corners, student restrooms in those, and it makes for a long process of getting this done because the relos themselves are an older generation 2016 code, but because we are making modifications, we have to bring everything up to the 2022 code. So that is, it was in DSA, came back with corrections. It's back in DSA. We're picking up the corrections right now and trying to get an appointment in which your 3rd session with the plan review team is done in the DSA office downtown LA. Because this is a new construction, not new construction, but a new placement of square footage on the campus, we had to go through what's called CGS, it's the geological survey. And so we had to go through a whole seismic review and approval at the state, which we have gotten that approval last couple weeks ago. And so that means we can now go in and finalize the drawings. Anticipation of having those finalized next month and going out to bid immediately. And so hopefully we are installing those buildings end of September, beginning of October. And then my last project will be Bellflower High School, the Science Center remodel. And so this has been an interesting project, and you're probably well aware we've been working on this for about a year. DSA has lots of regulations, and so you can kind of see where we have the whole building, but we're doing kind of the bottom half of the building. DSA has an interpretive regulation that says that if you spend more than 50% of the value to tear it down and build it brand new, then you have to bring the entire building up to current code from a seismic standpoint. So we had meetings at DSA, Patrick attended with us, that where we actually had discussions with my structural engineer, myself, and talking about the existing building on the campus and what it would entail to bring it up to seismic. Because if we did the whole building at once, we were going beyond the 50% allowable. It was basically determined that you're going to spend, you might be spending more money trying to bring it up to seismic code than it would be to build a new one. The problem we have is this is one of 8 buildings just like this on the campus. And so you don't want to open up that can of worms. So what we worked out with DSA was to do half the building, and so we stay under the 50% allotment. We have a phase 2 in which we can come back and do the second half of the building. And that, as long as you have a break in between, so we do the first one, we close it, certify it, before we start the second phase, we can do that. So we have 2 phases. We stay under the 50% allowable, and we don't get into a seismic upgrade. The seismic upgrade was probably going to be in the neighborhood of $5 to $6 million. And that doesn't modernize it. That just brings the building currently up to current code. There is nothing wrong with the building. It is perfectly safe. It's just it's an interpretive regulation that DSA has in order to, in their mind, modernize the current districts. So by breaking it into halves, we are basically controlling the allowed budget that we have for the project. The phase 2, you can see we're just coming across the very top of the building, so that's like the north side of the building, and doing 4 classrooms up there at the top. So that would be after we complete the bottom phase. So let's go back to the previous slide. Let me see if I can. Oh, there you go. Okay, so what do we have? This is the 3 comprehensive chemistry, biology labs, student workstations. Students will have sinks, and they can be outfitted any way you want them to. So they'll have the ability to have cold, hot water, gas. They can use Bunsen burners. They can play with beakers, chemicals, whatever the options of the district wants to use. And this was basically designed with Principal Lundgren and Gil Castaneda when we first programmed this and then started doing our budgets before we went to DSA. And then in the very center is a teacher work area. So it's a prep room for teachers, and then it's open on both ends that those can be used as small group instruction. So all of these classrooms have the ability, have a door to the outside, but they have a door that goes in to the storage areas and to the central work areas. So it gives some functionality for the teachers to break up small groups, or to actually, without having to go outside the building, they can actually go through to other classrooms. So every classroom has the ability to get into every other classroom without having to exit the building. On the far right, we have, that happens to be a boys' bathroom. We are basically remodeling that, gutting out and building an entire new accessible bathroom there. So you have the workroom in the middle. On both sides of the workroom are storage areas. And then on the far left, I maintained that one classroom in the top left corner for phase 2 enters into that little lobby area. So I had to maintain that. The small little room below that is fire riser room. This has to be fire sprinklered. So we are bringing sprinklers throughout the building. We're tying into the fire line that's out in the middle of the road behind this building. And so that's all been worked out with the fire marshal. And so we have all our permissions to do that, and the fire line's all certified. And so then the top half, if we go up to phase 2, phase 2, these are different styles. And so it allows the teachers to have more flexibility. It can be done with the islands for student work areas. It can be done with kind of a laboratory long table in which all the students can work in larger groups. The other classrooms with the little peninsula islands are kind of set up for students to pair up. So 2 to 4 students would work together there, whereas you can do whole team experiments and things together. And then that also can be pulled out, and you can just use it as lecture areas. So once we get through phase 1, we have the ability to adjust all those 4 classrooms to better suit the campus as to what they see works well for them and what they might want to include in phase 2 for their science program. So the building itself, all the utilities, everything for the building will be pulled in phase 1 in those classrooms. That second phase will go a lot faster, just because the utilities are already in the building, so there's nothing left to do outside the building to disrupt the campus as we build on that. This is in DSA. We now have secured all the approvals we need, so we basically just need to complete the plan checks. DSA plan check, there's actually 3 entities for access, fire, life safety, and structural, and you go through separate plan checks with each one. You try to do them simultaneously, and that's what we're doing in this process right now. And so we've got the first couple sessions of online plan check taken care of, and so now it's back in review. Once they have a opportunity to go through it, then they'll contact me. We'll set up that final date to go in and finalize these drawings. So this is another project in which I believe we'll probably have approvals end of next month, and looking to prepare for bid in October. Patrick and I did meet with Principal Lundgren, and we've talked about the schedules on this, and so he's fully aware that he has met with staff, so they're aware of the schedule and have made all the appropriate scheduling for the campus for the start of this year. And those are the projects.
Great. Thank you, Rand. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I think we have a couple questions, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Vice President Stewart.
Yeah, I think you answered my question because I was going to ask if they could be utilized for direct instruction, and I think in
Yes.
phase 2 you said they can. So then I guess my question is, Ms. Acevedo, so basically the science teachers, they'll have their own classroom, but this will just be extra for them to go to. They won't be assigned to these classrooms, right? It's just going to be the science center where all teachers can go to?
Right, they would need to work out a rotation so
Got
that
it.
everyone has access to them.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, and the classrooms themselves are designed for 36 minimum students. And so it is possible to get 38 in there, but it's a squeeze. But yeah, they're designed for 36 students. And the teacher has their own demo table, so they can do, everything that they need to for the students, and then the students can, from at that point, start their own experiments. So,
Great.
any
Thank
other
you, Vice
questions?
President Stewart. Dr. O'Hesson.
Hi, thank you. I just want to get clarification. So for the second phase, DSA has already approved at no additional cost, or you still have to go back to?
We still have to go back with a separate set of drawings. And so DSA has approved phasing it,
Okay.
but it will be a separate set of drawings and a separate plan check. The reason being is, in order to not make it look like, we just broke it into 2 phases to get around their interpretive regulation of the 50% rule, we actually have to complete the first one and certify it before we go into plan check on the second one. So there has to be a clean break between the 2 projects.
Okay, so I guess I'm trying to figure out, when you talk about the cost, so do you do a new adjustment to the cost for the second phase?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, at that point we would.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. O'Hesson. Board Clerk, Ms. Garza.
Thank you, President Critchfield. I wanted to ask, you were saying, just to confirm, these would be a lot more expensive to bring up to code entirely through, because of the seismic upgrades, correct?
Correct.
So and I think you mentioned this, but I just want to make sure that I understand that they are still safe for our students to be in
Absolutely.
without that.
The buildings are approved, they're grandfathered under original construction. DSA, what we do is we went through with a structural engineer, and their structural engineers went through the whole building from foundation all the way up to the top. And the first determination was, is the building safe? And they said, absolutely. That's not a problem. The only thing was the 50% rule, which is a interpretive regulation that comes out of Sacramento. And so, and it's not so much about trying to force districts into doing seismic upgrades, but it's about making sure that any new dollar spent is actually not being spent on a building that might have to come down in the future. But these buildings were determined by DSA to be perfectly safe, and so we can do a modernization. We just can't spend more than 50% in any one package. And they come up with the dollar per square foot that they value the building at. The problem is they value it very low, and so it's very easy to hit the 50%. It's kind of like, okay, I have my own cost estimator look at it, and he says it's a $7 million building, so I think I have $3.5 million, and their estimate came in at 6.2, and they're like, no, you have 3.1. And so, we're kind of going back and forth as to, how we would keep it under the 50%. And then they throw at you too that technically they want you to come in at 40% because they want you to save 10% for change orders during construction.
Right.
And so, it's like, okay, we're never going to get there. So then we started the discussions about phases, and that's the determination we came up with to work it out with DSA.
I have a follow-up with that. So I know you said that they'll be completely safe, but are they accessible? Is there anything that would be not accessible as far as like ADA compliance?
Oh, no. All the new construction will be under the current code. Everything is completely accessible. We are looking for a path of travel through the whole campus. I mean, basically, what DSA does is they start out at the public way, and they take you into the admin, and then from the parking on site to the admin, and then from the admin, you have to get to this building, and from the building, you have to show accessible student and staff toilets. They even take it to the approach of, okay, you have a student walking along and his friend's in a wheelchair. They need to go to the bathroom. What is the nearest ADA? Because you can't really make the companion in a wheelchair go way out of his way to get back to his friends. So they actually look at path of travel distances.
What about doors? I know, and Dr. Allison, maybe you can hop in. I know that the STEAM building, there was some talk about the types of doors. Is there anything with maybe, Dr. Allison, can you help me out?
Yeah, the reason being is I also serve on the Governor's Committee on Disability Access, so I work very closely with DSA.
Okay.
I work with Ida Claire.
Uh-huh.
She's one of the state architectures there.
Correct.
So I'd lead to this question because I asked her in regards to building codes of having doors that are accessible for our students. And one of them was our building in Mayfair, which is not accessible. There's no automatic door opener for a student who's either in a walker or a chair in order to get in. So correct me if I'm wrong, President Crutchfield. You're asking whether or not the doors for that building or anything in that building would be considered ADA compliant for access into the building, and once you're in the building, also any features that would be needed to be for access, whether it's the water fountain, because that's one of them too, for and the bathrooms and so forth.
Correct. So the new bathroom, the boys' bathroom that we're doing here will be completely ADA accessible, obviously. The way ADA works with doors is you don't have to have an automatic hit the button on every door, long as you provide a 5-pound max pull, you have the correct handle, you have the ability for them to get off the side of the door with space to open the door. And so those are all followed. If the district standard becomes to put electric paddles on, that's something that's a lot easier to do during construction than to try to retrofit after the fact, but that can be done. Even within the science, oh, she's shaking her head. So, but the eye washes and everything like that, they're set for roll-in for wheelchairs, for the eye washes, for the showers. You know, all of that is completely accessible. The clearances. We have ADA workstations at these peninsulas within. The teachers' demo desks are all ADA accessible. The sinks are all ADA accessible. And so, yeah, it goes through a pretty rigorous plan check process.
So I just want to make a correction because I did talk to Ida Claire about this specifically, and she said they give the basic standards for ADA entry. So, but she's saying you have to look at the population and the demographics of what you're designing the building for.
Correct. And
Okay,
when
so just one, there's a second part to that too, is that if it's the maintenance to do the less than 5-pound force, or at least 5-pound force, to maintain that is more difficult than just to have the automatic door open. So the maintenance of that on a regular basis, this is what she relayed information to me about. That would be more cost effective for the district to have the automatic door opener.
And that is true. The 5-pound force is a tricky thing to balance. As the closers themselves get older, the pistons, get dirtier. Sometimes the force does have a tendency to go up. And then when you do a new project, they go back and they try to test them. They literally have a little device they hook on the door and they pull on it to move the door, and it tells the pound force. Right. That can become a problem in which all of a sudden you're now replacing a closer because you can't dial it back down to 5.
I think the main thing is I appreciate the being fiscally responsible and planning this out to where we can get everything accomplished. We just want to make sure that we're making it as accessible as possible. And if there are options that might be more cost effective in the long run and more accessible, I think that should be a part of the conversation, and we should entertain those options.
Okay.
That'd be awesome. And I do have one more question. So the break, so you have phase one,
Uh-huh.
and you take a break because you wouldn't want them to think that we're splitting it in two, right? They won't watch the meeting, don't worry. How long does the break have to be before you start the second phase?
They're saying 6 months to a year.
Okay.
But during that time, we can actually be doing all the drawings and everything with the consultants, doing the programming, the design with the staff, doing the drawings, but we have to actually get the first one certified, and then DSA is like, okay, and then we'll talk about it, depending on the budget for the second phase.
How long does that take? The certification takes a while?
Yeah, I would guess that after the complete of the project, you're probably looking at 3 months. And so if so we get it certified, and then it's probably going to be another 6 months before we submit the drawings. And so you're going to have a year to year and a half downtime.
So, and then the phase one completion estimate is when?
We are hoping to be under construction this fall, probably depending on getting it approved out to bid, start construction end of October, and then we're hoping to be done for the start of school next summer.
Okay. And then the break, so probably 9 months probably. But
Yeah, so the following spring, we will probably be looking to go out to bid for a start of construction when school's out, summer of '26.
And then that phase two probably take about the same amount of time as phase one?
I think it will be shorter because
you wouldn't know.
we already have all the utilities into the building. They're 4 smaller, more conventional classrooms.
Okay.
So I think it will be a shorter time.
So probably like a rough timeline, what, 2 years? Two and
For
a
the
half?
construction,
Yeah, just for the project as a whole when it's all functional and put together.
for both phases?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we're looking at probably 2.5 years.
Okay. And during that time, half of the building will still be usable or? Okay.
Yeah, so phase 2 will have students in it. We'll be
Okay.
working on the bottom half. When we complete the bottom half, that will be occupied, and then we will start working on
Okay.
the top half. And so they will always have science classrooms available for them.
Okay.
So yeah, at no point are we taking the whole building down.
Got it. Great. Any more questions from the board? Renita, do you have any questions? No? Mr. Nichols, thank you very much for the
No,
presentation.
you guys asked all the questions that I was going to ask, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Armstrong.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And thanks again, Rand. Now we're going to bring up Bob Bender and John Gomer, and they're going to speak about the TJ parking lot plan and Mayfair High School sports fields.
Thank you, Mr. President, and the rest of the board, and Ms. Azevedo for having us here to bring you up to date on where we stand with our projects that we're working on for the Bellflower Unified School District. Our first slide was just an introductory slide. The next slide is where we actually start delineating what had occurred on the Mayfair High School Athletic Fields project. We were authorized to proceed in the project back in the October 23rd board meeting, and we've been carrying the project through since then, and we've compared notes with Lisa and the rest of the staff as to moving forward with the project and preparing it as it was directed by the board in the October 23rd meeting. We met with the shareholders. We met with them several times. Really, the first time we met with them is in November 1st. And then we met with them again on December 6th. The November 1st meeting was just an introductory meeting to get us introduced to what the program requirements were going to change to from what had already been approved.
I'm sorry, could you explain that? It says the stakeholders. Who is the meeting with? It was with the site
It was
coaches.
with Patrick Turner. It was with Sulema. It was with Sean Diaz, the principal at the
Okay.
district. It was with the athletic director. It was with Julie Stanley, I think was her name. and there were a couple of other people from the campus themselves.
Okay, from the site.
From the site,
Great.
right.
Thank
So we went through all of that. The first meeting, as I was saying, was where we discussed the possibilities of what we could entertain. And then we were given that directive to come back again and present the actual options that we had and get clear direction to move forward with them from that point on. We completed that. Where is this? We got the direction and we presented our proposals to the school district. We got direction to move forward and proceed with the project on March 8. And then from there, we went to preparing the documents and the DSA applications and the registration of the project for the project. And then we submitted the initial registration for the project on March 13 and followed up with the revisions as requested by DSA for input from us and from some additional information is for input from staff, and we completed that registration on April 15th. We've since then got acceptance of the total application that was submitted to DSA, and the project was completed and the documents were finally submitted on May 28th. They are currently under review at DSA. One of the requirements that came back in the March 28th submittal application review was that we provided a fire flow test. We contacted Patrick Turner at the time, and he was very helpful in putting together an immediate response to provide that fire flow report to DSA, so we did not lose time and have to come back again with a resubmittal. The other item on in the project is the development of the parking lot. The parking lot that serves the stadium is going to be built over what is now the existing flood control channel that's behind the school. The Flood Control District, LA County Department of Flood Control is involved in that project. It's a separate application, it's a separate permit review, and we've got the conceptual plan review from that on June 13th. We are currently moving forward with that, and we should be getting, we got the invoice, and we got an application or an invoice for additional fees from the LA County Flood Control District at that time. That's been presented to the district, and I'm sure that the invoice has been paid. So we are moving forward with the Flood Control District improvements at this time.
If you don't mind, what's that? Is that ROM? What is that?
Rough order of magnitude.
That was my first guess. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't. It wasn't. Thank you.
This was what was presented back in the October 23 board. Actually, it was a price that we gave you back in April of last year, when the project was first being discussed at the board level. We were asked by the staff at that time to come up with 3 different options to move forward with the projects. And it was in the October 26 board meeting is where we were decided to go with the option 1, which was the entire project with pluses, with the additions. And it's the additions that we've talked about since with the staff and what we are required now, or what we have now put into the project to go back to DSA. The additions triggered reapplication of the entire project. The revisions that we were going to make was just reversing the fields and some other minor modifications could have been handled as a simple revision to the documents, which we would be under construction by now had we not made the pluses, the added revisions. The added revisions were we added the visitors bleachers, but then we swapped the entire field and moved the home bleachers to the west side of the site and added a press box to it. Those were added scope, and according to DSA, anything that requires added scope is a new application. So that meant we would have a revisions project with DSA to modify some of the field arrangements, and an added scope application to bring in the new additions, which would have been treated as two separate projects. We negotiated with DSA at the time, and it was decided with the principals at DSA to combine them all into one project and bring it back in as an entire new project using the documents that were prepared for the initial phases or the initial project at the time. But this meant we had to go through the entire process all the way from over again from the very beginning, and that's where we're currently at. The estimated construction cost that we proposed to DSA was the estimated construction cost that was prepared under the old 2022 project, which was $9.2.5 million, $950 million. The ROM that we gave to the board, to the staff, and it was presented to the board in your April 26th meeting was around the $15 million figure. And that's what we're currently working at under that evaluation. We have a cost estimator working on the project currently. As soon as we get the DSA comments back, which we are expecting to get sometime this week, we will be then able to complete the cost estimate and give staff the information necessary as to exactly what the anticipated bid prices will be when we do go out to bid. So that's something that's currently in progress at the time. We anticipated the DSA review to be completed by July 5. Well, my last conversation with DSA is that they are extremely over budgeted. They are overworked. They don't have staff facilities. The downside is that the access compliance review has lingered, and we will not be getting access compliance back until sometime this week. What they projected originally was the July 5 date, but because of access compliance, the last time we checked with them, which was on July 22, they were only like 5% complete. Well, as of this morning, I went in and checked with the DSA site, and they are 85% complete, which is usually the trigger when we are given authorization or given the comments back, and we're ready to then make the adjustments and come back in for permit. Anticipating we'll have 4 weeks or so of corrections prior to going back to DSA. We're looking at probably bidding the project sometime in late September, early October, with a project award date, construction start sometime in November of this year. According to the LA County Flood Control District, there is a moratorium on construction within the flood control channel. That moratorium will only allow construction to occur between April and October. So going out to bid, we will put into the bid documents that the contractors are to be ready to mobilize and start construction in the flood control channel immediately upon the April deadline in 2025, which would allow them to get the overall project completed by the October date. So that'll be our first priority, first milestone. But the stakeholders that we dealt with are looking to target the stadium be occupiable and the sports fields actually be able to function at the start of the 2025 football season. So we will schedule that into the construction process when we go out to bid, stating that the fields themselves are to be completed by the August of 2025 to let the activities in start of school year 2025 to begin, with the follow-up construction then being in the flood control channel and all that, maybe continuing on until November of that year. The next project that we're currently dealing with, unless you want to go over any questions on Mayfair.
Yeah, I want to see if the board has any questions on the fields before we jump to the next one. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, President Critchfield. My question revolves around the LA County Flood Control Channel improvements. What is our relationship with them going forward after we build the actual parking structure? How does that maintain? Do we have to maintain that now that we have a parking structure on top of it?
Well, you'll have to maintain the parking structure,
Yes.
but the flood control district still has the right of way.
Okay, and so
And they will maintain the improvements or maintain the the channel itself as far as the underground structures, the culverts. They'll keep them clean and clear them out and all that. So they will be maintaining the flood control channel itself. You are responsible for anything over it, which is the parking lot and the drainage into the flood control channel, which will be the runoff from the campus.
so just the runoff from the campus, not anything that comes from the river.
From upstream, no.
Yes.
Anything from upstream is all part of the flood control channel district's responsibilities.
Okay, and so by any chance, have you had a conversation as to what if these channels overflow? What happens then?
That's part of the study that we had to get involved in early on with the flood control district. We've already been through this process once with the original project. We're not changing anything that was not approved or not part of the original project. The original project was actually ready to permit. Had we moved forward with the project 3 years ago, it would be there now. And we did the studies back then as a requirement of the plan review process as to whether or not there was a possibility of any overflows or discharge from the flood control channel district out back onto the site. And the requirements were satisfied back at that time. I'm not aware that any additional requirements have been put in place in the last 3 to 4 years. We're currently in review with the reapplication. The district just recently repaid the plan check fee for that process, so everything's ready to go. We're anticipating having the improvement drawings back from the flood control or from the civil engineer, and we'll put them into the bid packages when the project goes out to bid, so all the work will be inclusive. But the work in the flood control channel has to be done separately, as I pointed out, between the April and October deadline. It's all under the same contract, except that there's a different permitting process, different inspection process that we all have to go through during the construction phases.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. I have a couple questions. And I'm sure they've already done these studies, but for the neighborhoods right there behind the channel, what kind of emails am I going to be getting? So I mean, I'm sure like
your questions have been anticipated.
Yeah. Take it
That's
away.
why the stadium's over where it's at. Had we tried to put the stadium where the field exists now, you would have had extensive problems with the neighborhood and all of that. That's why the stadium itself, with the sports fields, lighting, and everything, is backed up into the northeast corner. It's against Allington and against the flood control channel district. You don't have immediate neighbors in their backyards, so the location of the lighting and the stadium has been located in the northwest corner of the site to avoid any conflicts or any problems with light spillage into the neighbors' backyards.
What about noise? Is there like a study you do on like how to
control the crowd noise?
Yeah, I mean, I know like certain stadiums will like put things in place, or there's certain like natural barriers that kind of help contain.
Well, you've got a baseball field between the stadium proper and the neighbors to the south, which would be the ones that would be affected by any noise generated. So there is a buffer zone there to anticipate that. I don't know that we can do anything further as part of the budget that we have to control what would be anticipated crowd noise at the time. But
What about the trees along the riverbed
we have
there?
trees along the south property line.
Are those going to stay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that might help with the noise. I'm
Yeah,
reaching.
it'll help
I'm reaching.
buffer the noise somewhat, but it's not going to contain it entirely.
And there's already a traffic study for that that new parking lot as far as, and I'm sure there's a permit for them from the city with that as well.
No, we are utilizing existing driveways, so there's no requirement to go back to the city for a off-site improvement.
But along the riverbed there, is there going to be a different entranceway? I thought there's an entranceway from Allington.
No.
Where's the
Oh,
entrance?
no, yeah, off of Allington, there is an entranceway. There is
Okay.
one drive.
So like that turn into that parking lot, then immediately after the street going down to Lindstrom, is there any traffic studies that need to happen before we put that there?
I'm not aware that we did any back under the original design scheme.
Okay.
And we are not anticipating having to do that under this current design scheme, but it is something we probably have to look at or bring up with the city of Lakewood.
Yeah, can we make sure we coordinate with the city? I would just hate to get to a certain point with the project because it is like a very tight, that riverbed goes and then there's the next street. Make sure that we're on the same page 'cause I don't want to get all the way there and then something happen where we have to backpedal a lot. I mean, I'm sure we could work with them on that.
I can follow up and see if, check our records and see what was done traffic study-wise as far as the original design scheme, because we haven't changed any of that in this new proposal.
Okay. And I have one more. So just to be clear, the goal is August 2025 to
For
be
for the football field.
right, and then after the football field, then that's when the new parking lot slash.
Yes, to stay within that October window that we have, April to October window, the flood control improvements will be continuing probably when we wrap up or complete the construction of the fields. And then you may have, we'll concentrate on the field constructions and the building constructions that take place. We may carry over some of that construction and develop the baseball fields as the last part of the entire project.
So I was going to ask for the sports that are using those fields now. Do we have like a timed approach so they still can use the fields for different sports as we work on part of the field, or are they going to?
They will all be taken up, the entire play field will be taken up when we go under construction.
So the whole fields would be,
The whole field will be,
and then shovel in the dirt. When will that take place where the athletes won't be able to use that field?
if we go with the schedule that we've got anticipating right now, we're probably looking at a construction start date in September, or December, I'm sorry.
December. Okay. Do we have plans to work with the sites and the teams to make arrangements?
I believe the site principal has had conversations, but we'll continue to follow up as soon as we have a better idea of the timeline.
Cool. Thank you for answering those. Ms. Garza.
My question actually falls along the lines of what you just asked. I have heard that in the past, if we have our athletes working out over at Bellflower High School, that it's very difficult to get access to the fields. So if we could just make sure that both schools are able to use that very popular area now going forward.
We've also made arrangements for them to go across the street to Lindstrom. So there has been some conversations already about using the Lindstrom field.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've had conversations with staff about an access way along the south end of the property and then crossing over the flood control channel to get to the Linfield facilities. If there was some way we could accommodate that, and it'd be something we'll have to explore about barricading a pathway for the student use during the course of construction.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. And thank you for answering those questions. And I know with this entire project, I know there were stakeholders that came in and had their input, and I think it was really valuable that they did. A lot of people from the site that maybe didn't before, and I think that what we're going to be creating on that campus is going to be truly magnificent. I think it's going to be well appreciated and well used, and I'm looking forward to all the work that's going to be done over there. So thank you.
Well, we thank the board, particularly the board that was in place in the October 26, 2023 meeting, because you've created a project that's much better than what you had anticipated originally. It's going to be a much more vital and vibrant project for the entire district. It's going to give you the equality that they were looking for the Bellflower project that wasn't going to be part of the original plans. So we've established that now and are developing that equality.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's still more projects.
Well, yeah, we got the
keep going.
Mayfair High School parking lot, which is the one that we've been dealing with most difficultly. Originally, the project was scheduled again in that October 23 board meeting to move forward. We had already prepared all the drawings, and we'd already submitted the documents to DSA. But what we found out was that because we sat for almost 2 years, because this project, among others, were all placed on hold during the construction of the STEAM building until we fully understood the funding applications and the funding amounts. All of the projects that Westburg and White were involved in were placed on hold other than STEAM at that time. So in the October 23rd board meeting, when we were given authorization to proceed, we immediately contacted DSA and went back and were told that you've been shut down or you have not responded for more than 12 months. So it was an entirely new application. So that meant we had to bring it all up to the 2022 code. So we virtually had to start the entire project all over again. Based on the review comments that we had from that original application, the DSA was asking us to go back to the local fire authority and get their input. At the time, we contacted the local fire authority and made an application to them for the process. We completed the drawings to meet the DSA requirements of 62521 and take it back into the local fire authority. This was completed on May 13th. We got back into the local fire authority only to be told by the local fire authority that we weren't proposing any alternative means or measures, so their review was not necessary. So we had DSA telling us that we had to get local fire authority approval upon reviewing the documents or the drawings or the design, telling us that there's no alternative means being proposed. We're complying with code. So local fire authority approval was not necessary. We're currently got their comments back, and the comment that we got in response was based on DSA requirements for this review. If they're still going to require local fire authority approval, local fire authority would want to put a fire hydrant on the site, which is not included in this particular project. This is something that goes back to when I was working with Mr. Buffington. We were adamant that this was not something that was absolutely necessary. We're building a parking lot. Why do we need to bring fire flow in and a fire hydrant in to fight a fire in a parking lot? All the other fire applications or fire hydrants are accessible and are indicated in our drawings that would satisfy the code requirements as they have been previously approved. So I've just got the DSA input comments back, and we return them as of today. We did make the August 1st submittal date. So we've been into DSA since August 1st. We got their first round of intake review comments back, which we have responded to as of today. And one of them, again, was the local fire authority approval. We verified again that unless we're providing alternative means of design, We don't need local fire authority approval, but local fire authority is saying if DSA is going to require it, they're going to want a fire hydrant. So, and this is something that I've been in conversation with Patrick Turner about. If that is how we get the response come back from DSA, we plan to meet with DSA directly and have them site code section of us as to why we're having to put in a fire hydrant for an improvement on a site that contains no additional square footage. Matter of fact, we're reducing the building areas on site by taking out the child care facility up in the southeast corner. So,
Okay, I'm going to break there for a second because we've got some questions.
okay.
Vice President Stewart.
Yeah, just my first question was when we had the 12 months of inactivity and we had to resubmit an application, did we have to pay additional fees for that?
Well, you had to, the application fee had to be repaid again.
Right, so because we let it go inactive for 12 months and didn't do anything, we had to repay those again.
Resubmit.
Can you tell me how much those fees are?
I don't have them right off the top of my head, but
Can we get that on our Friday memo, how much we repaid?
As I
because
recall, the plan
we
check
didn't
fees
finish?
were $9,100 or $9,140 total.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Stewart. Madam Clerk Garza.
Thank you, President Critchfield. My question is in regard to, I'm interpreting your comments to say that we currently have enough fire hydrants on that campus to address any issue having to deal with the fire.
Yeah, there are currently 2 fire hydrants down on Rose and one on the street just to the north. And all 3 of them have been flow tested. We coordinated that with Patrick Turner. We submitted the information to the local fire authority, and that's when they said that they didn't need to do the review. But there is adequate capacity. Matter of fact, the one up on, I can't remember the name of the street just to the north, but that came in higher than expected because it's only operating off of a 4-inch main. And it's almost equal to the ones that are on Rose, which are coming off of an 8-inch main. So that was a surprise to us that when we got the fire flows on that. But the fact that you can't get to the middle of the campus without going through 2 hose pools, which is 150 feet hose. Each hose pool is allowed to go 150 feet, so you need 2 hose pools to get to the center of the campus. We have provided a bus turnaround in that area as part of a fire department turnaround in that area, Hammerhead turnaround, as part of the bus drop-off improvements. So we are able to get a fire truck to the center of the property. It's just that we don't have water available without 2 hose pools to that location.
And that's what it is at this point.
That's what it is at this point.
And going forward, do we have any plans to make it more accessible for, I'm not even sure if we can, if it's going to be to the middle of the school?
Accessibility is not the problem. It's just that they don't have an immediate access to a fire hydrant when they get to that central location of the campus.
That sounds like an issue. I don't know. Does anybody else see that? Would we be able to? Like, say if I'm not sure, Ms. Acevedo?
We'd have to have someone follow up, but I think that's what he's suggesting. That was part of what they were hoping to require, if I understand correctly, that they were wanting us to add one.
The fire authority would want us to add one if they are required by DSA
to reapprove,
to review the project and sign off on it. They would want us to bring in a fire hydrant. And I've gone over this with Patrick Turner on a couple of different occasions, so we're aware of where we're at. We just have to see what the DSA is going to come back with.
When that comes back, would you be able to provide a cost for us?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah. A rough order of magnitude now, we're going to be an immediate $60,000 increase just for the
also known as ROM. I learned that earlier.
Correct.
So we would have to pay, we would have to pay for the cost of the additional fire hydrant, the district.
Yes. And that would be, then we'd have to employ the civil engineer and bring them into the project so we could get water to that location of the site. So we'd have to bring it in from, I'm assuming, the 8-inch main off of Rose which is going to mean we'll have to wind it through the campus between the buildings. Preferably, we want to come off the north, which would be the street where the 4-inch main is, and just come straight down across the parking or across the playfields. But we have to get to that central part of the campus with a new hydrant.
Yes.
So, you know, we're looking at $60,000 for the hydrant plus all the additional work that goes coincidental with it. We're over $100,000 in estimated costs.
So, colleagues, in the interest of time, because I know Patrick's itching to get back up at that podium, we got some other things to handle. Is there anything else about that project we should know before we move on?
I'm at the end of. Okay, our DSA review, 6 to 8 weeks for DSA review. We should be able to get their comments back by September. Put the project and advertise, go out to bid in October with, again, a construction start date sometime in December.
But that's all depending on the fire hydrant issue.
Correct. That's depending upon the processing of the DSA.
So we'll wait for an update on how that turns out from
Correct.
DSA. Sounds like a lot of fun. We're dealing with DSA all the time. It's probably less fun than it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for the presentation report. Truly appreciate all the work you're doing.
Okay. If any other further questions?
Colleagues, any other questions? Ms. Armstrong?
No, I'm listening. I'm just excited. I just can't wait for it to really get started.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Armstrong. Thank you very much. You're up. Batter up.
Okay, I'm back up. Well, thank you, Bob, for your presentation. John, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to start our presentation. And we are very excited about some things that occurred over the last year since Dan handed me the baton. And I basically, a lot of these things came from Dan. We just continued what he provided to us before he left. I know we have a long-range facility plan, and that, usually that's about 5 to 10 years. That's what that long-range facility plan is, how long it takes. But some of these items that we have done in the past year, some of these items were on a long-range facility plan, but most of the time when we go out and do work, it's through work orders, and we're constantly always looking at our facilities to be safe. So when we go out and look for things, we're looking for safety. That's our main priority, is to make sure that our students are safe, to make sure that our staff and everybody that comes onto our campuses are safe. So we rolled out a new work order system this year. Let me get this clicker. Let me go. Okay, we rolled out a new work order system this year. Matter of fact, we just rolled it out in the beginning of August. But we have been working on this for the last 5 or 6 months. We have talked to many different work order companies, and this one we felt like met all of our needs. It's a really good work order plan. I've been getting a lot of great feedback on it. Principals, lead custodians, people at the elementary schools or secretaries, they're really happy with it, excited. And, we know it's going to be some kinks in it, but we want to talk about it a little bit tonight. What it allowed us to do is process work orders in real time. So in order for us to make the process faster, now we get them in real time. And what we did was, on these work orders, we provided all of our technicians with computers. So they have computers on the go. They can log on to their computers. They can get their work orders right away. The past work order we had was an antiquated work order system. We had it since I've been here, and I've been here a long time. So I know Dan has been working on that before he left, and we just went ahead and moved forward and implemented that system. What it also gave us the ability to do is prioritize work orders. So on this system, we're able to prioritize them. What's urgent, what's a low priority, what's a high priority, and of course, again, safety. That's what we're looking for. It gives us the ability to take photos and include those pictures on the work order. So we have one of our lead custodians. He loves taking pictures. I mean, he takes pictures and he sends those pictures, but they actually help us because we can know exactly what we're looking at and what the problem is. And our technicians they're wanting more people to take pictures. They say, send us some pictures. We want to see the pictures. So that really helps us. One thing that the principals are excited about when I talk to them about this work order system, they're excited about the receiving weekly reports. We can give them weekly reports if they want them. In that way, it speeds up the process again, because in the past, when we created work orders, they had to sign off on them, and then it took a little while sometime. But now what we do is it comes directly to us. We send out the work orders to the technicians. When I say we, me and Curtis and our secretary, we send it out to the technicians. And then once they complete the work order, it's completed, and the person that put the work order in, they get a notice that work order is completed. Principal also gets one. Work order has been completed. So it speeds up the process. Okay. It also gives us the ability to create asset tags, which helps us out quite a bit. If it's an item that needs an asset attached to it, we can do that also. So that's our work order system. All right. At this time, I am going to bring up our maintenance manager, and we're getting ready to do a little tag team here. He is Curtis Ballard. Will come up and he'll speak about some other things dealing with facilities.
Thank you, sir.
There you go.
All right. How you doing? Welcome. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk right now, safety, to the board, to the administration of Bellflower Unified. What we're going to do here is we have a few slides on the screen there. We're going to start with Mayfair High School. Mayfair High School, earlier this year, we had someone drive through the middle school office. So when we came in that morning, of course, we wasn't very appreciative that they did that. So as soon as we did, we started thinking about lucky that it happened overnight and didn't happen during the time that school was in. Also, we instantly started thinking about how we can make it safe. So what we did, because we didn't want a recurring event. So after we had the window installed, the storefront, what we did is we started thinking about bollards. And bollards, we have them core drilled down to approximately 36 inches, which gives a lot of depth and a lot of safe security. We still maintain the ADA access there in that entrance. But by us doing the bollards like that, it made us feel a lot better that someone can't come up day or night and drive right through. And the next safety aspect, which Patrick was pushing, is Lindstrom Elementary. We just recently had it striped, and what it does is it makes clarity to the directional arrows. Signage is clear. If the principal at the schools have any other questions or answers about safety, they would give us a call, and what we would do is come out and assess it and take it from there as far as maybe we need to add something, a new signage, because different things are happening. But safety is one of our biggest things that we do. And Washington Elementary was one of our biggest challenges. The way Washington's parking lot is built, the students come from the north and the south, and they have to walk across the parking lot in order to get into school. And so safety starts there, not just on campus. We have to get them in the school safely. So we went over there and observed the morning traffic and how it worked. And what we was having is parents stopping. It wasn't enough directional areas or signage, wasn't a walking path. So that's where the U-ballers came in. So when we had the U-ballers installed, what we created on each side, north and south, was approximately 6 foot walking areas for the students, labeled strictly for the students to walk. Because what we saw was the students that were coming from the south turned into the parking lot and was walking across the fence. But they had cones out, the faculty had cones out. But then on the north side, students were coming from the north and they were coming, trying to cross those cones to get to the south to walk in, which created them a problem. They walking across the traffic, the approach, which is the driveway. Being that they were walking across that, we saw that that was a big safety problem. So those barriers also have the 36-inch depth. They're good and strong. The walkways are approximately 6 foot wide, but then we did directional arrows. We took the students where we can get them to the building with a walking area, and then also the arrows stop the traffic. We put up signs to direct parents to go whichever direction that they needed to go, and to keep the traffic moving. We installed signs that said student drop off only, no parking. And the biggest problem why it was hung up like that was because on the exit, it had left turn and it had right turn. So it was getting cluttered there, so the parking lot was consistently full. Traffic was moving real slow. So how we changed that is what we did. We eliminated the left turn and did right turn only, which opened that whole driveway up and it made the transition for the students coming to school a lot better and a lot safer. And we're gonna continue to do our best for the kids and get them there to school safely.
Nice.
All right.
Thank you, Curtis. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Curtis. If you notice, those are Ballards. I think Curtis thought they meant Ballard. That was his last name, is Ballard. So, but these are Ballards. Ballards, Curtis. It's with an O, not an A. Okay, here we go.
Just giving you a hard time.
Okay, at this time, Vince Thornton was not able to make it tonight, so I guess I will step in his place and talk a little bit about the grounds department. Our grounds department is fantastic.
And Patrick,
Yes.
just because I am planning on taking a short recess pretty soon, do you think 15 minutes will cover the rest of this?
No,
No?
but I can try.
All right, you do your best.
Wow, okay. Okay, real quick. Our grounds department, they're really great. They did a lot of good things. Over at Lindstrom in the kindergarten area, we had a tree out there that was leaning right over the playground. We're wasting this playground, but we didn't want that tree to fall on any students, so we needed to remove that tree. The middle section gives us illustrates an example of our trees again that we have been trimming. And if you look at that closely, you can see those trees are nicely trimmed. That's at Bellflower High School, but that's been happening all over the school district. So we're really doing well in that area. And, I know I talked about this before, but happy to report that we have made some adjustments. Mrs. Garza, like you suggested, and you were correct. When we went and looked back at it, we were able to cut our budget in tree trimming. So we cut off $30,000, and we'll still be able to maintain the safety of our trees. So thank you for bringing that up. Right here at the district office, I just was passing by. I took this picture, and I had to take the picture because it was really looking nice. Our grounds department, they do a really nice job. They drive around, they look for things to beautify, so they beautified the district office a little. Okay, let's move on. I'm gonna bring up the custodial security manager, and that is gonna be Kevin Mays. He's gonna talk a little bit about district safety vehicles.
Hi, good evening. So we're talking about safety tonight, pretty much. Safety is very important for all of our students and staff. So we are going to be implementing a, let me get there, safety patrol, district safety patrol that we're going to cover all school sites and all district offices during the school day. It's going to be an AM shift and a PM shift. So we'll be covering before school, during school, and after school times. So we want to make sure that the students are safe going to school and leaving, and also our all of our staff and teachers and faculty. Also, we have in the middle picture, we have in our safety vehicles. Oh, let me go back one thing. We're gonna have a vehicle on the north end of the district and the south end, with the 91 freeway being the boundary or the dividing line. So that way we have any kind of response time is going to be cut in half. It'll be very quick if there's any issue that we can assist with. Our patrol is going to be observe and report only. Observe and report, where there is going to be no kind of we're not going to do any aggressive action, and unless it requires some kind of response. But we will have access to the sheriff department. That's going to be our call, and we are only to observe and report and to support our schools and our offices. Okay, I want to talk about that. The middle picture talks about we have radios installed in our vehicles, in our security vehicles. That has the ability to communicate with our buses and our other security vehicles. So if there's any kind of issue, and I know Rick might talk about this in his transportation presentation, but if there's any kind of issue on a bus, or if a bus driver has any kind of emergency or any problem, they can call our vehicles, they can call us, and we can provide any kind of support or help very quickly. So so basically we're dealing with speed and safety. That's what this is gonna provide. Also, they're gonna have access to handheld radios, so they'll have communication with all of our school sites, secretaries. So if there is an issue at one of the schools, they have the ability to communicate instantly with whoever's on that side, and our response time will be within a few minutes if we need to get to a school site quickly. And again, we can either call 911 if there's an emergency. We have or the sheriff's department to respond to any kind of incident that may occur. And the last thing I want to talk about is every school site has the AEDs, the automated external defibrillators. Those are all there for obviously for safety and for any kind of response if there's any kind of a medical emergency that might occur. So basically that's it.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you.
Patrick? Yep.
Okay, at this point in time, I'm gonna bring up our acting transportation manager, and that is gonna be Rick Sanchez.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you, President Critchfield, board members, Acevedo. I'm really happy to be working in our transportation. I've been with the district 20 years now. What we have for you tonight is We're talking about, again, the whole theme has been safety. Our buses, we just recently upgraded with the state-of-the-art camera system, high-definition cameras, which really has proven extremely valuable. Anytime there's a situation that happens on a bus, we're able to pull video and able to put to rest any problems. Bus driver says this happened, student says this happened, and when you have video, it completely tells the complete story. And our cameras, like I said, we just finished upgrading them this past summer with all HD cameras, and they're have the ability to, we don't have to go pull a hard drive anymore. With this system, I can access it from my desk and put in a request, and it'll clip that video and put it right to our share drive with the district. Again, the quality of these things is really, really good. I've even, there was a student sitting in her chair and looking at a website on her phone, and I was able to zoom in and see what website she was on. So that's how good these cameras are. And it has sound. Each camera, we have, I think, 9 cameras. We also have a camera with the view to the front, so you can catch if there's an accident that takes place, who could be at fault if they got cut off, or it just tells the complete story. Again, I can't say enough about our cameras. They've been extremely helpful. Also, our buses have real-time GPS installed and radios. And they communicate with, we just had these installed 2 months ago. These radios, you're able to communicate very quickly. The security vehicle, or the safety vehicles, the 3 new ones that we got, have radios as well. What happens with the school buses when kids are being transported, one of the most common telephone calls that we get is, where's my kid? Where's the bus? When is it going to get to our stop? And what we're able to do is, with real-time GPS, Nora can pull that up when she takes the call, and she can actually see where it's at and see how far it gets. We don't have to contact the bus driver. We can if we have to, but to be able to answer that question quickly, it just makes things go that much faster and puts the parent at ease. They know their child is safe. The other thing with the radios, they're 2-way radios. California law says you can't use your cell phone. And if you do not have a 2-way radio, the only way a bus driver could use their cell phone is they would have to pull over, and then they could use their phone, which would extend the time of the route. That law doesn't apply for 2-way radios. So they're able to communicate immediately, and they can ask the driver what the situation is or how much longer till they get to their next stop. So they've proven invaluable. The GPS and the radios just makes the job a lot easier and a lot more helpful in putting parents' mind at ease. And the last picture there is we have so far 2 new trucks, work trucks, that are replacing our outdated vehicles. Some of our service trucks, I don't know if you've seen them around the district, they're kind of older. They're like year 2000, 2001. And the problem with that is the older vehicles are no longer supported by the manufacturer. So some of these Dodge vehicles, you can't get anti-lock brake computers, engine computers. So by switching to a newer vehicle, of course, it brings down the maintenance, because for the first few years, you don't have to worry about anything major. And you get a lot of the safety features too, because all the newer vehicles have to have backup cameras, which is great for if you're around students, and hands-free for the drivers. It automatically links up their cell phone, and that's something that's on the most basic trucks that we order. It has all of that safety equipment on it. So, and we're in the process of actually looking at replacing additional vehicles for our aging fleet, because they're really past their life expectancy. I think the pandemic kind of pushed things back a few years as far as us replacing our aging white fleet.
Mr. Sanchez, I'm going to take a quick question from Vice President.
Sure.
You push the button.
I mean, I pushed the button, but I have like 4 questions at this moment. Do you want me to ask all of them from the preceding slides,
Or you
or
want to go one by one?
you want to just let him finish the presentation? Let him just finish. That's
You
sorry.
got anything for me?
No, you,
I do, but I have others.
whenever you're done,
Go
she'll
ahead.
ask a question.
All right. Well, I'm done.
Vice President Stewart.
Sorry, he's throwing me off now. So just my one question with your slide, I do have others, but is there a number that they can call directly, parents, so that they can find out about the buses? And is that listed on the website for either of you guys?
Right now, because the bus drivers are still, at this time, unfortunately, contracted through Hemet, the 562 number that we have reroutes to Hemet's dispatch, where they have, I don't know, normally 3 or 4 people answering phones in the morning time.
Is this something that we as a district can work on? Are we bound by them calling Hemet? Because I know I've had parents say, like, they can't find their kids, like you said, and they want to know, and they want to talk to somebody, and sometimes someone doesn't answer, or they don't know where the kids are.
Sure.
I just think for safety, I think that would be really important for our community and our family, and to have that number listed on the website so it could be easily accessible. That's just my recommendation. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you, Vice President Stewart. Thank you very much. We'll
Thank you.
let Patrick take it away, and we'll keep moving forward.
Okay, how much time of that 15 minutes do I have left? We're gonna move quick here. Okay, just a few current projects. Over at Stephen Foster, we are painting the entire site. It's being painted right now. We expect that to be completed before school starts. And if it's not completed, it'll be soon after school starts. But the school looks beautiful. First time we had an opportunity to paint an entire site, and we're planning on continuing that. Our sites need to be painted. So hopefully we'll get support in the future for that. I just wanted to illustrate an example of the playgrounds that Rand spoke about earlier. This is the playground, and this one right here is at Stephen Foster. Beautiful playground. Right now it's actually completed, just about completed. They completed it today. So just want to illustrate that. Belfort High School, we remodeled 2 bungalows, room 512 and 514, in preparation for the science building. Once we get started with the science building, we have to have a place for the students to go. So we started working on the 2 bungalows and remodeled those, and that is actually completed. It looks really nice. Okay, Ernie Pyle. Ernie Pyle, we expanded. We put a doorway, and we did this in-house. Our carpenter went out and he installed a doorway to expand the library. The library needed more room over at Ernie Pyle, so that's what that door is about. Somerset High School, we're currently going to install a electronic marquee. It's being installed as we speak. I believe tomorrow they'll probably start installing the pole. I know at least that was the talk. And if it's not tomorrow, it'll be really early next week. But that project is underway, and we are excited about that. I sent a picture of it. It looks really nice. Thomas Jefferson, we weren't able to paint the entire site, but the front of the site needed to be painted. So we put some funds together to the side, and we painted the entire front of the school for curb appeal and beautified that up. And by the way, that's one of the schools that we're interested in going to probably next to finish that job and paint the interior of the site. Okay. Here we go, the Intensive Learning Center. I wanted to illustrate this picture because that's a completed playground. You see some little blue dots on that. I know that's gonna have people asking questions. What are those blue dots on our playground for? Actually, it looks really nice, but actually it protects the base of the rubber, okay? And it's called grout. It's beautiful. It makes the playgrounds look really nice. I was asking them, why did we pick the blue color? And they said, nope, that's what Dan picked. So I looked at it again, and after they put it down, I said, man, Dan got some pretty good taste. And if you look at the next two pictures, Room 38, Intensive Learning Center, what happens is a lot of times these floors are carpeted floors. They become unsafe. We have to replace them. Dan came up with a great idea. He put plank flooring in there. This is vinyl. It looks like wood. It's vinyl plank flooring. And we replaced the flooring in room 38. And then about 6 months later, room 36 got jealous, so we had to replace that one also. Okay, here we go. Just marquees. I just want to show you some marquees. All of our sites have marquees right now. All of our elementary schools have marquees, of course, with the exception of Somerset High School, but they're getting their marquee. And it's interesting when you really look at it. It looks like basic, easy. It's not easy to install these marquees. They have to sometimes go through DSA and those type of things. But if you look at the middle picture, you'll see the concrete. That concrete right there looks brand new, a little strip of concrete. We had to actually cut the concrete out to run the electrical to that marquee. Over at, let's see, Craig Williams will be next. I'll show you that one. I want to talk about Craig Williams. Craig Williams a little bit. We actually had this marquee when we installed it. We ran electricity, and we did not run enough electricity. These are very high-powered marquees, so the electricity was only going to allow us to show one side of the marquee. So we couldn't decide of was it going to be the north side or the south side. So we couldn't make that decision. So what we did is we brought in some more power. We got both of them going. Okay. More rooms, Ramona Elementary School, very interesting. Curtis was, he was looking to put some more ballers up somewhere. He ran into Ramona and went into a room and found out that this room, there was a complaint there that the room looked like the floor was coming up, the subfloor. It was a carpeted floor. When we pulled up the carpet, it had dirt that seeped through the carpet. The carpet was so bad that it kind of let dirt soak up and you couldn't get the dirt out. What we thought was bad flooring was actually dirt. So we went with Dan's flooring and put it in that room also. We remodeled Somerset High School, remodeled the entire site, and we did most of that in-house, so it came out really nice. I'm getting close.
Patrick, this is what we're going to do.
I'm getting close.
We're going to take a
Quick.
small 7-minute recess. When we
Yes.
come back, I want you to, because I know you can go all night.
I'm going fast.
You love this stuff.
I'm having fun.
And it's important, but we do have to do some other items. So we're going to take a small recess. When
Yeah.
we come back, you give me the rest, and then my colleagues will have some questions for you and the team. Sound
Per-
good? All right, the board will now recess until approximately 8 p.m.
Yeah. I thought you were retired. I keep hearing your name. You're supposed to be retired, Dad. When your name keeps coming up.
there at all. You got a complaint, it's gonna be on there. It's been good. There's no one that but all the other ones have been very good. So the first day was like, well, what I thought it was gonna be was how to deal with
Okay.
We'll now reconvene in open session at 8 p.m. All right, Patrick, we got this, man.
Okay, we're getting there. Okay, Bellflower High School. This is a weight room. This is actually Mr. Critchfield's playground because he went into that weight room and boy, I never seen anybody lift so many weights. Okay, so that's our weight room. Came out really nice.
Okay, you can go as long as you want.
Lindstrom cafeteria floor was really in bad shape. We were able to get that floor redone. We're really happy about that. Mayfair High School wrestling room. This was interesting. This was my first project that I was involved with. If you look at that back wall, you can see that red little poster or whatever it is. There was a kid, student wrestler. He was right up under that sign, and if you looked up, when I walked in, there was a ceiling tile hanging. It looked like it was about to hit him in the head, so I had him removed. We had to shut down the wrestling room. We put a new ceiling in inside the wrestling room. Came out really nice. Wrestling team at Mayfair was really very happy. Okay, future projects. That's all. Oh no, I have one more here. I'm sorry. Oh, Bellflower High School. We installed a mirror coming out of the parking lot off of Somerset. We had some accidents there, so we took a look at it. We put a mirror in. If you look close into that mirror, you can see oncoming traffic. So we took care of that parking lot. We restriped it, put new slurry on it. Came out really nice. Bellflower High School aviation room. And that was a major project. Our team did pretty much all of it with the exception of the floor, but that came out really nice. We painted it and did a lot of work there, demo and everything else there. Mayfair High School, right next to the STEAM building, we had a trench. It was turned into a safety hazard. It was a good idea. At first we had brush there, but the students were jumping from side to side. We had to cover that. We cemented it in to prevent a trip hazard or somebody getting injured. Oh boy, I have more. Somerset High School, we re-slurried the asphalt. We did some striping there. Mayfair High School, please go see that graphics room. They'll make you a t-shirt. It looks really nice in there. And they're doing some really nice things in that graphic arts room. We put a lot of work into that. And then we remodeled just recently. Ernie Pyle put a new floor in there and painted that room, and it came out nice. Okay, future projects. We have we had a company come out, Garland, and they came out and basically looked at all our roofs, inspected them, and there's still some roofs under warranty. There's some that's not. We're gonna have to do some work in the future to continue making sure our roofs are taken care of. We're in the process of having an HVAC systems analyzed for repairs and replacement. We have a CalShape grant program that's in force right now, But what they're doing is analyzing it, putting new filters in, putting new thermostats in, which is great. And we're coming to the end of that program, but they're going to give us they're going to look at our HVAC systems and let us know where we're at on those. Future projects, of course, restroom repairs and replace fixtures. We applied for a CalShape grant program. We did receive it, but with that, that's just replacing fixtures, toilets, sinks, shower heads, those type of things. So we did get that, and that's really nice. And then we're going to continue to completely paint all schools. We talked about that. And one more okay, here we go. Future goals: continue to complete work orders as needed, move forward with the projects, continue developing routine maintenance plans in the areas of painting, move forward with the board direction for projects funded through committed funds. And we really appreciate the hard work you do to support us, because without you, we couldn't get it done. So thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you, the whole team, for doing all the amazing work you do and also presenting tonight. It's really helpful. I feel like there'd probably be enough questions, and just because everything you're doing is so interesting, we'd probably go another hour just on questions.
Yeah.
So I'm going to open it up to questions for my colleagues, but I'm going to strongly encourage that we can submit questions and maybe get those back from superintendent another time, just for the sake of time, so we can get to the next item. But if anybody would like to ask questions, I'm more than happy to entertain. Dr. O'Hessen.
Well, first I want to say thank you for your outstanding work, Patrick, and keeping our facilities just top shape. I think if you're going to give it a grade, what would you give yourself? Just for all the great work, because I'll give you a grade, but I want to hear what you think.
Well, I'm always give myself an A for effort, because I work really hard. So, I mean, I'm looking at an A+ right now. I'm working really hard.
Well, I was going to say the same thing, because I think you did a great job, and I just want to acknowledge that, and also acknowledge your team for the great work that they did too. So
I couldn't do it without them.
presenting. Yeah.
Thank you. I couldn't do it without the team. It's not all me. It's the team, and they support me, and our technicians and workers, employees. They support us. They love the district. They really do. You can tell.
Yeah, I do. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Dr. Hessen. Vice President Stewart.
Yeah, I have 3 questions. I'm just going to submit them to Mrs. Acevedo. I just wanted to also say thank you so much, especially for the trees and the trimming and things like that. I've had so many just different people, especially for Mayfair, asking about those. And so, again, I just want to thank you again for all the work that you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Ms. Armstrong.
My colleagues already.
Ms. Armstrong, you're cutting out a little bit.
Oh, how about now? I'm sorry, I was on mute.
You're good.
My colleagues have already stated my same sentiments, in that I think we have an extremely talented maintenance team, and I respect how they work together, using every resource available. And I just hope that we can continue on. Thank you, Patrick and team.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Armstrong. Ms. Garza.
Thank you, President Critchfield. I just echo the same sentiments, Patrick, to you and your team. Thank you so much for going out there, looking at these sites, submitting pictures. That always takes such a long time to make sure that everything's going according to plan. But I do want to say that with the looking into the future,
Yes.
we would never, excuse me, probably even be able to complete all these projects on just the facilities money that we have at this current time, correct?
That's correct. It'll take a long time to complete the projects, but we're going to continue to work hard to get them completed with what we have.
And a bond would certainly make that easier and quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. It depends on what we project for the bond, what we need to do with the bond.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Patrick, and
Thank you.
to your whole staff. It means a lot to, I'm pretty sure, teachers and everyone else. I will submit my questions to Ms. Acevedo as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. And one more thank you, man. And congratulations on implementing the new work order system. I know how impactful that can be, so it's exciting. And yeah, the pictures do help. Helps with efficiency, because then by the time you get there, you kind of know what the situation is. You don't got to do all the extra trips. So congratulations on that, and thank you to the whole team.
Thanks again. We really appreciate all your support. Thank
We
you so much.
appreciate you. Thank you. All right. It is now time for major action. We have one major action on tonight's agenda, 11.1, resolution of Board of Education of the Bellflower Unified School District ordering a school bond election. Do we have any or do we have a presentation?
No presentation this evening, but you do have your consultants here for any questions that the board may have.
Got it. Okay, do we have any questions or comments from the board? We do have, it's on the script, okay. We do have Mark Farrell from Dell Scott and Company, as well as Meredith Johnson from Dennis Wolliver Kelly for any specific questions the board might have. I will start with Miss Armstrong.
Okay, thank you, President Critchfield. I just want to say that I've been thinking about this bond a lot, as we all have, and you kind of know my sentiments. My only thing is that hearing from our facilities manager now, Patrick, and seeing how he's been really using our resources, and the reason why he was able to do these things is because of the reserve that we have had. We're very conservative. I would love for. I still feel the same way in that I don't think we need to rush. I think we need to figure out what we really want for this bond, and it's not that I'm saying no. It's just that we have more homework to do. Even with the bond, we still may not get to everything that we want to get to, and just like the reason our reserve, we had to use our reserve to pay for the projects we didn't complete. We need to do a thorough assessment on what we really want, like a management plan, so that we can lay it all out. In this election, we're going to have a Prop 2. It's like 3 different measures. They have, we already have modernization of public education facility bond. It shouldn't pass. We're also going to have, if it passed, we're going to be stuck with a permanent tax on managed care organizations. And I don't even know what that rate may be. We also, if another bond passes, we're going to be stuck with that bond for state and local parks, water, energy, flood, and environmental protectors. And then there's another measure to make it easier for local measures to pass. So they're lowering the voting threshold from 66%, from about 66% to 55%. And the thing is, our housing costs and rental rates will never become stagnant with the increased taxes on our citizens. We have, when I'm thinking about the bond, I'm thinking about our households that are most vulnerable, which are our seniors, those with disabilities, and those who are disabled and have disabled and still employed. We have homelessness. We have elderly. We have to consider the elderly people and their income, and we cannot ignore the poverty status here in Bellflower. And we have single head of households, large families. We have specific age groups that we have to consider, employment and occupation. I think I alluded to it last year. We have 40%, about 40% of people in Bellflower are owners. We have about 60% that are renters. And from those renters, about 60%, about 59% spend at least 33% plus of their gross income for rent. And then 30%, approximately 30% spend about 50% of their gross income for rent. If we continue to build our reserves, we can manage our own projects without placing the burden on our citizens. And because of our reserves, we have the monies that are paying for the current projects that are going on right now. So, like I said, I'm not saying no, it's just that I really need to know what new structures are we getting ready to build? What do we really need this bond for? And we need to know how much money we need to ask for. Do we need to ask for the maximum amount or the minimum amount? But we won't know until we know what we want.
So
that's my take.
Ms. Armstrong, so we're actually at the questions part. So if you have questions.
I don't have any more questions. I know all about these bonds.
What was that? I'm sorry, I didn't catch.
I'm sorry, President Critchfield. I don't have any questions. I really asked a lot of my questions a long time ago when we first started.
Next, thank you, Ms. Armstrong. Next, I have Ms. Garza.
Thank you, President Critchfield. My question is for our consultant. When in this process is it that our board can no longer engage in education for our public? I know you've said it before, but just to have it in forefront for me, what would that be?
Good evening.
Good evening, thank you.
I like the word you used, and you said, when can we not engage in education? You can always engage in informational educating, because nobody has the information about this measure except you, right? It's your measure that you are potentially going to place on the ballot. So you can always provide information to voters to help them decide how to vote. What you can't engage in is advocacy. You can't try and convince a voter how to vote. So there's a big distinction there.
Okay.
That starts when?
Sorry, as soon as you vote to put the measure on the ballot.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
And President Critchfield, if I may, it did seem like Board Member Armstrong had some questions in her comments. Is it possible? Because it seems like she has a question about what are the projects that we're going to be addressing with this bond, correct?
Right. Could you help answer some of those questions? I know that I heard a few of them in there.
And I think they're already included in here, but maybe we can get a little bit more clarity for our board member.
Sure. So in the resolution, in the project list, which begins on page, really in earnest on page B3, these are the list of projects or types of projects that would be authorized where the district could spend bond funds on. But then ultimately, whatever projects, the board will decide at a future time, whatever projects actually would get constructed and paid for with bond proceeds. So the project list legally says what you can spend money on, and then the board would have to come back after the bonds pass and make decisions on exactly what projects are going to be done and what bond funds are going to be spent on.
Great.
So it gives a board flexibility to decide to make it general for now and then decide where those funds need to be allocated to.
Correct. And these projects were all taken from the district's long-term facility plan.
So they're directly in with what we had asked Mr. Turner and also gathered from our stakeholders that they saw we needed.
Correct.
So this is more of a general list as of now of what we have been told as a board was necessary.
Correct. And then the board will need to prioritize which of those projects to allocate to this bond.
May I jump in just for 1 minute? Ms. Garza, I know that in the past we've looked at that facilities plan, and just a little reminder for everybody, especially if they're new in the audience listening to this, your facilities plan has allocated priority 1, 2, and 3 areas of of critical improvement needed. And that's one of your strongest look ats right now of what we could be doing with the bond. The way your bond resolution and your short Exhibit A description is written, it's very general to cover many of these things that you've been told need to be worked on within the district.
Thank you, Ms. Acevedo. And if we don't go for this bond, we would be nowhere near able to meet those priorities.
Without the bond, as Mr. Turner shared with you, you're working on projects one at a time as you have the funding to do them. Looking at your priority 1, 2, and 3, just looking at that facilities plan, you're looking at $116 million worth of projects just to bring us up to repair and maintenance. That's not to create something brand new. That's just to bring things up to where they should be.
Okay, thank you. No further questions as of now.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. Vice President Stewart.
Yeah, just to provide a little background for our public in case this is passed, I did a little research myself. The average appraisal of a house in California is about $650,000. The average appraisal of a house in Bellflower is $800,000. In Lakewood, it's $870,000, and the average appraisal in Cerritos is a little over $1 million. So I was asked last meeting where I got my numbers from. I was actually using myself as an example. I'm a homeowner here in Bellflower. I have a townhouse that's about $500,000. So for me, I would be paying $220 a year, and that's where I got those figures at. If you have a $650,000 house, you would be paying about $286 a year or $23 a month. If you have an $800,000 house, which is the average price here in Bellflower, you would be paying about $352 a year or $29 a month. And again, if you had $1 million house, you would be paying $440 a year or about $36 a month. So, since the last meeting, I've thought a lot about this. I have talked to a lot of people, and every single person that I've talked to in the last weeks in our meeting wants this on the ballot. They want their voices heard. So for me, it comes down to two things. One, we're not rushing this. We approved a facilities plan in August 2023. These are all of the different things that we have done on this bond. All of these. And that's not even counting tonight. So to say that we're rushing that, we've put a lot of thought into this. Two, we started this discussion again in August 2023, and the district has shown and proven that we need this money. And they've planned, and we've looked at this, and they have told us. We just had our own maintenance director, in his words, I hope we can get some support later. Basically, he's advocating for us to do this bond because we need money for facilities. So in my mind, as someone that's on this board, I have to ask myself, I'm here elected by you guys to do what's right for the community. So have they proven to me as a board member that we need this bond for our facilities? They have. They have proven it to me. They have shown me in our facilities reports. We have prepared. They have shown me the list of all of these things. So in my mind, our district has proven to me that we need this bond. Why another reason to pass it is, again, because if the state bond does pass, we don't have matching funds. We can't go 4 years later and say, oh, now we're going to do a bond. The matching funds will be gone by then. So that's a reason to put it on this ballot as well. And my main reason, which I pretty much, if you watched the board meeting last time, my main reason is I don't believe in dictatorships. I don't think that's good for any country, and I believe in democracy. I live in the United States of America, and I believe in democracy. And if we 5 board members do not allow 87,000 residents to voice their opinions and decide for themselves what they want to do, that's not a democracy. It's not. I believe our community should have the right to decide if they want to support our students and families. And many community members, so many people have come up to me and said, please, you have to convince everyone to get this on the ballot. We want to vote. They want better educated, better structured, amazing experiences and opportunities and facilities for our students. So are we going to really eliminate the democratic right to vote from our community? Because I believe that we should be giving the power to our people, because that's what democracy is. It's not limiting the power to vote by us 5 people being up here making the decision for our community. They should have the right to vote. And just to go a little bit further, when I'm thinking about this, I think about the teachers that write me, the music teachers that are begging for better auditoriums, the chorus teachers at Bellflower and Mayfair begging me, please, they're sending us PowerPoint presentations. We're all getting those. Please replace the seats in the auditorium. The SPED teachers that have been asking for playgrounds or special equipment for their kids. The student that wrote me in the wheelchair that was so excited that we're replacing all the playgrounds and we're getting those wood chips out and he gets to go play now. The Bellflower High School classrooms that literally look like when I went to there in 1991, I graduated. I'm dating myself, but some of the classrooms look like when I went there. If we want to raise our home prices, the way to do is to contribute to our local schools and our children. And the bond can do that for us. And I understand that it can be a burden for some, but again, the people I have spoken to, they believe in democracy and they want to have a right to vote. And we should not be deciding the burden. Again, for myself, $220 a year, I am willing to pay that for our education and for our kids. And again, we're gonna get it back in our home value prices when they go up, when we have better education. And when you're looking on Zillow and our rates aren't so low and they're higher. That's the bottom line. But at the end of the day, we don't live in a dictatorship. 5 people should not make a decision for 87,000 people. And this should be put on the ballot for our community to decide, period.
Thank you, Vice President Stewart. Dr. Alhassan?
Okay, all the things you mentioned were through the BB bond that's been completed. So that bond is still in existence, and we still have to pay on that bond through 2041. So I think it's important you let the public know that not only are they looking at the increased taxes on their property for this bond, the proposed bond, as well as the current BB bond. That's important to note. Because when you're looking at overall taxpayer dollars and where the money is going to, we just had an outstanding presentation of our facilities and how they're upgraded. There are no ceiling is falling. Our classrooms are air conditioned. We have excellent opportunities for our kids. We have a new wrestling, a weight room, a wrestling center. There's nothing that our kids are being deprived of in regards to our facilities. And when people look for school districts, they look at overall scores, not the buildings. How are our academics? How are you performing from that perspective? In addition, when you're looking at declining enrollment, which is projected in 2025-26, which is projected at 8,711. When you look at declining enrollment, you look at also people who aren't coming into the district, people who are leaving the district for various reasons. And part of it is cost and taxes. My constituents in my area too have all told me they don't want the property tax increase. They don't want to have an additional burden and have generational debt passed on to their kids when they want to leave their home to them, because they're going to end up paying that property tax also. That's the feedback I got. General funds that we have right now is over 142 million. Our priorities that were stated, our facilities report already when they were presented by the architect said it's already outdated. So we need to look at reevaluating that. In regards to the top priorities, accessibility, federal upgrades, those are currently going on. You talked about our playgrounds. Those are currently have been completed with our BB funds. And yes, the kids are enjoying them now. When you talk about renovating window coverings, doors, lighting, that was presented today. So I don't really understand the fact that it's not a dictatorship when the voters and the taxpayers voted us into office to make these decisions.
Thank you for that, Dr. Al-Hassan. I'll throw a couple of comments in there before I kick it over to Board Clerk Garza. One, I think a key takeaway from what you said that no student is deprived of anything with our facilities. That's what you said? So there's absolutely no problem with our... Just want to make
I
sure
said that our buildings aren't depriving our students
of anything.
of any,
Okay.
in regards to academics. They can still go use the classrooms. They can still use the facilities. The one area that was a big problem was our Mayfair track, our Mayfair field. And I had spoken to Patrick about that, and he said that's been taken care of, and it's still safe for our students to use at this point.
Okay, so I just wanted to be clear. So there's absolutely no problem with our facilities. And then the comment about I believe in trusteeship. You know, we were voted in by our constituents to make a lot of decisions on a regular basis to guide this district forward. And I think that anybody who votes somebody on this dais is expecting us to make the best decision for our district and for our kids. Not because you may own two properties and you're worried about your own personal tax liability, but because the decision creates opportunity for our district. And when you sit at the dais, that should be your North Star. And I don't see that right now, and it's frustrating. But I do want to make a couple comments. I think it's crucial that we vote to place a bond on the ballot. Not pass a bond for everybody, but to put it on the ballot to say, hey, there's a need here. Will you consider? That's all we're doing tonight. I think that if we don't do that, that's a real shame, I think. I know. To provide some context, considering the recent bond measures passed by other districts, LBUSD recently approved a $1.7 billion bond to upgrade their facilities. LAUSD passed a $9 billion bond aimed at modernizing school infrastructure and improving technology. Downey recently passed two bonds, a $248 million measure in 2020 and a $504 million in 2022, both aimed at renovating and expanding their school facilities. Their communities are investing in their schools, and their kids are benefiting. Meanwhile, our kids deserve the same opportunity and are worth the same proportionate investment from our community. Our bond proposal is a modest one. When it was surveyed, and correct me if I'm wrong, but even the higher amount was still favorable, but we chose to go for a lower amount than that, correct? So we still went modest with the initiative to even be placed on the bond. Even with the conservative bond initiative, we can still focus, it helps us focus our existing budget on things like salary and programs. Otherwise, that gets eaten up by a lot of the things that we're talking about tonight. When we talk about ADA accessibility, we had a conversation about that earlier tonight. There's an extra cost in that, right? We don't want to cut corners. We want to make sure that we're doing the right thing for all of our students. There's a cost to that. And that reserve that keeps getting brought up, when we talk about salaries and ongoing costs as opposed to one-time funds, you've brought that up before. It's a problem. If we keep chipping away at that with facilities, we're going to have a real serious problem. The bond is necessary. And there's the matching funds, but there's also the amount of work that's went into it and thank you for doing all the work to get us to this point. Dr. Smith and Interim Superintendent Azevedo, they put in a lot of work. And like Ms. Stewart showed, we've been talking about the bond for over a year. In fact, the previous superintendent based everything on the fact that he wanted a bond. We talked about it over and over again. We had presentations over and over again, but we act like it's the first time we've ever even thought of it and we're just doing it on a whim. It's crazy. My kids, our kids deserve investment. I know how I'd vote on it. but I don't need to know how everybody else votes. It's just a matter of giving them the opportunity. And that's what I would be in support of. That's what I am in support of. And I hope this board makes the right decision. Thank you. Madam Clerk Garza.
Thank you, President Critchfield. I feel the same way. We need to give our stakeholders in our community the choice. I urge Board Member Armstrong, Board Member Alhassan, please reconsider, because yes, we are elected to make these decisions, but this is one of the ones that we need to go out and give them a choice. If you're already saying no, it seems like we got 3 that are saying yes, one that's on the fence. It already seems very clear to me that it's not up to us to make this decision, that we should take it out to the voters and let them decide. If you're correct, then it's not going to pass. So there's nothing to worry about for you or for Board Member Armstrong. But if it passes, then overwhelmingly, it was meant to be, because the majority of our community sees this as an improvement, and like Board President Critchfield said, an investment in our kids. Every surrounding district has gone out for a bond. We have one only. This would be our second one. And I see it every day as an educator, where our kids go to other schools and surrounding districts because they have better facilities. You may say it doesn't happen, but I can tell you from being in the classroom, it does. And I've had conversations with parents who have told me, I'm going to go here because this is a better start, better facilities, they provide a lot better things for my students. And that is the choice I'm going to make. And if I was a parent making that choice, I would think that way too. I'm going to set up my child to be as successful as they can in whichever district it is, even if it means for me to have to drive somewhere else. So, yes, I did. So, this is the time to give choice to our population, to our community, not for us to make that decision. So I strongly encourage and urge you to please reconsider, because this is the time where we're going to look back someday and say, did we make the right decision by allowing this as a choice? We are not saying that this is going to happen. It's allowing it to be on the ballot. That is it.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. Vice President Stewart.
First off, I would like to ask that the under the breath comments that everyone can hear, that you please don't say that, because the things that you're saying to Clerk Garza are very disrespectful right now. So please don't do that to her. No, I'm not finished. I'm still talking.
No,
and I will say what you're saying under your breath if you keep continuing on. It is my turn. I am talking. I am talking. You're not calling her out on the microphone. You're calling her out under your breath. Then say it so everyone can hear it.
I said she sends her kids to another district.
And you're being disrespectful. That has nothing to do with putting a bond on the ballot.
President Stewart,
Which she uses it as an example.
Alhassan.
Can I? It's my
This gavel's not working. Can we get it? It doesn't work.
May I suggest we take a 5-minute break, please?
Let me ask my colleagues. Can we continue? Can we continue?
I can continue. I'm talking. But I'm not going to. We did
5-minute
a
recess.
governance
We'll be back in
handbook
5 minutes.
for a reason, to be respectful.
Thank you, President Critchfield. Thank you.
That's us. We found it.
Welcome back. We will now continue our board meeting here. And just one note to my colleagues, I think this is a really important conversation, and I think we can have a very robust conversation, but we must remain respectful, and that goes for all 5 of us. So let's continue with the conversation. I have on the screen here Miss Amy Stewart.
The last thing I'm going to say, and again, I do think it's a dictatorship if 5 people make a decision for 87,000 people. That's just my opinion. But if you want to fix things on a larger scale, you cannot do it without a bond. We cannot continue to take our money. Our own facility managers are telling us this. They are our experts, and we don't want to listen to him. And 3 out of the 5 up here are making a stake or claim to just put it on the ballot. That's 60% right there. So to say you will not consider putting it on the ballot for the voters to vote is wrong. It's 100% wrong. More of our public should have been here to say that, and I'm disappointed in our own community for not showing up because so many of you guys told me, and one person spoke on this. All of you should have came and spoke on this, and maybe they would be listening to you guys. But at the end of the day, to not put something out for our voters is wrong. You can spin it however you want. And I know, I talked to my own father. He was like, I don't have kids in school. Why would I want to pay for a bond? Why would I want to do that? And when we had the discussion about how I reminded him that it makes our community better and the people and the kids that grow up to be adults and live in our community, he understood. And that's not we don't have to advocate for it. Once we do that, the other people can advocate it and they can vote yes or no. But to justify not allowing our community to say yes or no when our district representatives are saying we need a bond, when our facilities manager, who we all love, and our director, and our past one who have been working on these projects are saying this, there's no acceptable answer to not put this on the ballot for our voters to decide, period. And that's all I'm going to say. You can say whatever you want, but the fact that we need it, the fact that our own people are saying we need it, and you're not going to let our voters vote, it's wrong. And you can justify it tonight however you want, but you're wrong, period.
Thank you, Vice President Stewart. Ms. Armstrong. Ms. Armstrong?
Thank you, President. Thank you, President Critchfield. Well, wow. I just have to say, wow. I still say that we, regarding renters, declining enrollment, we are a transient community. If rents go up because the burden is now on the owner, we're going to lose more students. You're comparing us to Downey. I understand Downey and Cerritos, all the surrounding communities, and their house prices are expensive. I can't move to Downey. I can't afford Downey. Can't afford Cerritos. And even right now on Bellflower, right across on my street, they have houses for sale, $1.25 million. That's what they're starting as. So, I'm just saying, I still say that our maintenance department can still, they have time. I'm not saying no, I'm just saying we can wait to 26 or 28. I voiced my concerns. Yes, I wanted to see what the bond was about. I mean, I could have been closed-minded from the beginning, but I'm not closed-minded.
Ms. Armstrong?
And at the same time, I'm not trying to convince anybody and tell them that they're crazy or that they should be shamed, that they're a dictatorship, that they're wrong. I don't understand. Are you judging me or not?
Ms. Armstrong?
I'm sorry, I'm almost finished. But during the special meeting, I voiced my concerns with us putting a measure on a bond on the ballot. And as I stated, it's not that I don't believe that there is a need for a bond. At times, my concerns lies with our due diligence, work of exhausting all of our resources and looking at all of our assets before placing the burden on the community. While ultimately it is the owner's choice, as elected officials, it still is our job to do the work and ensure that this is our only option to accomplish a task. With declining enrollment, we have assessed have we assessed our surplus property? Have we made reductions that may contribute to the resources that we need? I heard Patrick say he saved $30,000, which is great. I know other districts contribute to deferred maintenance. Have we given staff directive to look at options for doing this?
Ms. Armstrong?
Have we?
I'm going to let you continue.
I'm highly concerned. I'm almost finished. I'm highly concerned that we are adding positions in a
Right.
time of declining enrollment instead of looking at those funds to support future needs. And that is an example of me just not feeling comfortable in asking the community to provide funding when we are not adjusting. We need to take a look. A lot of changes are going on right now. And I'm concerned that without our due diligence, we are getting ahead of ourselves because a bond itself won't address all the needs that we've stated before. It's not going to address everything. You know, Patrick, let me know how many buildings are we going to erect? You know, what buildings are, you know, even the one building, it was still structurally sound as old as it was. So that's me. Make a wish list. I know we did that before. We have stage 1, 2, and 3. Make a wish list.
Ms.
And let's
Armstrong,
from
I'm
there.
gonna
Thank you,
hop in for
President
just.
Crisfield. I know. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
No, I'm gonna let you continue, but I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page with this. So tonight is the last night in order to put it on the bond. That it has to be turned in tomorrow. So I really do appreciate the fact that you say you know that you agree that there's a need and you're not saying no. I appreciate that, but tonight we vote on the resolution and they take it to the registrar tomorrow. Tomorrow's the deadline.
And I appreciate that too. I appreciate everything, the conversations, even as it got heated. I appreciate all of that. So if you want to call the vote, President, call the vote.
I'm not prepared to call the vote just yet because I have one more thing and then we'll get to the vote. But I do want to let you finish if you were still going to go. Did you want to continue?
President, thank you for giving me an opportunity to finish, but I am finished. It's just that I again, like you say, the respect. I just don't want to be labeled as I should be ashamed or I'm crazy and I'm wrong and all that kind of stuff. You know, I really do believe, yes, make a wish list. Let's really determine what are we really going to do. What are we really going to do? Because I tell you, you mentioned the previous superintendent. The previous superintendent, I said I was finished. My goodness. The previous superintendent went on a rant talking about how raggedy our schools are. I just looked at some. Our schools weren't raggedy. Our schools weren't raggedy when he said it. And I talked to him about it. We're a very proud community, and we are proud that we don't have to go out for a bond every time we want to do something. We can make adjustments within the districts, build our reserves, and use our reserves like we're using now. So, but anyway, I'm not saying we don't need a bond. I'm just saying at this point, that's how I feel after talking to a lot of people. Everybody's talked to a lot of folks. Have I talked to thousands? No, I haven't. However, I'm done. Thank you so much, President Crisfield.
You're welcome. I think it's an important conversation. I don't want anybody to feel like they didn't say something that they wanted to say. One thing I will say is I think we all know that the real value of our district lies in the people. All the teachers, the staff, and especially our students. But I think that the conditions that we provide them are a statement of our appreciation for the work that is being done inside those walls. And I think I know I hear loud and clear that there is a need for this funding. I think that if we were to look into the future and not have this funding and then also miss out on matching funds when other districts are able to benefit from those funds, the taxpayers, if the state bond passes, you're going to be paying that. And if we don't have matching funds, even that's going to have minimal impact on your community. What I'm here to represent is our community. I'm a parent in this district. I care about the learning environments of my child and all of our kids. And I think that when we make these decisions, and I'm not going to engage in any personal attack, because I honestly believe that anybody who serves in a school board, for how much fun it is, you got to be doing it for the right reasons, and you got to be a good person. So I'm not going to get into the negative stuff, but I do think that we've heard loud and clear the need. And, you know, it wasn't too long ago with a previous superintendent, you know, we were in favor of a bond when that was happening. And now I understand dynamics have changed, but I don't want adult conflict to be taken out on the kids. And that's what I see happening right now. And it's a damn shame. So that's all I'll say. And I'm going to go around, and if anybody has anything left to say, I'm going to give you an opportunity, then we're going to call for the vote.
I have one more thing. For one, I did not attack anybody personally, and I didn't call anybody crazy, but I think the decision is crazy, and I do think it's shameful to not allow people to vote. So if you take that as I'm speaking to you, then maybe you feel that way. But you're talking about due diligence. My last comment is, because I see this isn't going anywhere, and again, I feel like you, this is awful. I feel so horrible for our community if this doesn't pass. But you're talking about due diligence and a wish list. Again, August 2023, we started that plan, the facilities and plan. We approved that plan. We discussed that plan. So it just seems to me that at 8:55 on the night we vote for it, when it's due tomorrow, to ask for a wish list. If you're talking about due diligence, I think some of my colleagues should have done their due diligence a long time ago and asked for this list if this was such a diehard thing on your vote. If you were not going to vote without this wish list, then why are we talking about it at 8:50 on Thursday night? That does not make sense to me. So again, if you take my comments towards you, I'm sorry, but to me, anybody, not just here in Bellflower Unified, that is not going to allow their community to vote, it's shameful, period. Thank you. I call for the vote.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Is that an old, it's new?
I did put my hand up.
So Ms. Armstrong, there is a call for the vote.
I called for it and you didn't do it, but it's okay.
No,
Call for it. Go ahead and get it over with.
No, go for it.
I'm pretty even-tempered, and I appreciate the passion from everybody, but we still need to remember that, we are an example for our children. I'm still saying, I still don't think like in 2 years, we can still do this. We can still do this. Our schools look good. Our schools are not raggedy. We don't have not one condemned building. We have hardworking people. We have proud people that we don't have to rely on a bond to keep our facilities. Only one bond, you're right, only one bond, and look how good our schools look. So anyway, call that vote.
I want to point out that when the last bond of this district was made, there was no facilities master plan, so there was less due diligence on the last bond, which one of the current board members was on that bond, on that board, and we're more prepared for this one and have heard more of the need on this one. So I just, I'm one where I can disagree respectfully. I really do. Like I don't take it personal, but I'll admit there's a part of me being just a father in the district. So just hearing that our facilities are great and we don't need it, even though staff is saying we do, it does bother me, but there has been a call for the vote, and we will move forward with that. And what was that? What was it?
I did have my hand up,
okay.
but I'm good. The district, who's been? Oh my goodness. Anyway, do what you have to do, President.
Thank you, Ms. Armstrong, and Ms. Stewart.
Last comment. We are talking about we can do this in 2 years. You're right. We can do this in 2 years. We can do this in 4 years. But if that matching bond passes and we don't have opportunities to get that matching money, that is on the people. The list hasn't even come out because it's not even on the ballot yet. So if we, I'm not finished talking. I'm not finished talking.
Ms. Armstrong, let's let each other finish talking. Ms. Armstrong, let's let each other finish talking so we don't get in the back.
I'm sorry.
I will call on you. Ms. Stewart, please continue.
You told us last time, our consultants, that you can't get on the list until the bond passes because they don't have a list because they don't know if the bond's passed. So I don't understand that point. But again, if that bond passes and we are not on this ballot for our voters to decide, we have zero opportunities of getting anything matching, zero. So just remember that. And again, we have zero opportunities if we don't allow our community to vote.
And thank you, Ms. Stewart. Ms. Acevedo, is there anything you want to add?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. I've heard both sides. I'm listening to all of you speak. And as I'm listening to you speak, and as I'm listening to the audience on the other side, inside, I'm listening to my heart crying out for these kids who we have done an outstanding job. Your facilities team does an outstanding job keeping up, using the funds that we have. They paint when they can. They fix your grounds when they can. We put in new playgrounds when we can. But realize that's one piece at a time. And I feel like I can speak to this because you know that I've written grants year after year after year for the last 7 years to fix one classroom at a time. That's all I could do. $1 million at a time will fix one really cool classroom for kids. And you're right, Sue, they do leave us sometimes because they can't afford to live here. Sometimes they also leave us because we're not able to offer the same thing that someone else is down the street. You have to think about both sides, please, for your children. And you're not making the decision for the taxpayer. They are. You're just tonight allowing them to do that. So that's my 2 cents for tonight. I can hear all sides. I'm listening to what's going on. But our job, all of us right here, is to be here for the kids. I understand that we represent the community, but our job is for the kids. They're supposed to come first. So thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Ms. Acevedo. All right, I will now entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Great, I will go ahead and call the roll. Ms. Stewart.
Aye.
Ms. Garza.
Aye.
Dr. Alhessen.
No.
I vote yes. And Ms. Armstrong.
No.
All right, the motion does not pass. We will not be putting a bond on the ballot. And yeah, okay. Moving on to consent agenda. Do I have any items to be withheld from the consent agenda this evening? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda without holding items?
Approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Yes, you have a second.
Roll call, please.
Can you clarify who gave that second?
Who's Ms. Stewart?
Renita might have been first. Just go with
Ms. Armstrong.
Renita.
Please note in the minutes that Dr. Alhessen is leaving at 9:03. Roll call, please.
Ms. Armstrong?
Sorry, aye.
Mrs. Garza?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Critchfield?
Aye. All right, now we will move on to board communications. Board Member Armstrong, take it away.
Thank you, President Critchfield. From these past 2 weeks, I think it is, I didn't get a chance to report last time, but I participated in a conference with my fellow board member Stewart, with CASB, it's the California Association of Black School Educators. And we were going with this year's theme of Black to the Basics. And it's basically we talked about the root causes and interventions. And we were invited as school leaders to delve deeper into the systemic issues impacting Black students, as well as emergent effective responses to the issues. And I chose to attend workshops that focused on women empowerment. And Dr. Leslie Fenwick, she led a discussion of the untold stories of Black principal and teacher leadership. And the title of the book is Jim Crow's Pink Slip. Interesting name. And then there's another author by the name of Isabel Wilkerson. She led a discussion on the origin of our discontents. And the title of her book is Caste. So it's been since 1954, about 70 years since the promise of Brown versus the Board of Education. And now an agenda has already been established to enable researchers and national leaders, legislators, educators, and community leaders, and others to come together to actually realize the importance of developing each child. And many of our children are experiencing hopelessness that they may never get out of. But recently I did finally meet Miss Ruby Bridges, and there's so many interesting facts and things about her. And one interesting fact is that she actually returned to the school in which she integrated and became a volunteer parent liaison partner. And so getting parents involved is of paramount importance to her. To me too. I'm that parent. I travel everywhere with my kids. So with that, I want to welcome back everyone back to school, and I hope that everyone is excited about what the new year will bring. And we brought into our BUSD family many new staff members, and I welcome you, and I hope that you find that Bellflower Unified School District is where you belong. Okay, and those who know the new people, I am also a teacher, and I'm going to be so sad. I want to miss the meeting you, but I'm going to have to meet you later, okay? Because I got to go to work. All right, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Board Member Armstrong. Board Clerk Garza?
Thank you, President Critchfield. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to talk about this. I've been disappointed several times. Having been on this dais before, but never have I ever felt this bad or disappointed in a decision that our board has made. It wasn't hard. Place it on the ballot. Let the people decide. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of emotional here because it moves me to tears that we have board members who are advocating for the same thing. And Board Member Armstrong, you just talked about Ruby Bridges and giving our kids a chance to have equity and have these programs in place that can help them. A bond would have done that. But now you've decided that that's not even a choice you're going to be giving.
I'm going to respond to that. Don't project your feelings onto me.
I'm sorry.
Don't project your feelings onto me.
Colleagues, we're not going to start responding to board. It's just a slippery.
It's my comments. You and I can talk later. But I'm giving a comment as to how I felt this happened or what just happened. Unfortunately, we're not going to be in that position. So yes, we will have to make very difficult decisions in the years ahead. Maybe some that we wouldn't have had to make. I'm absolutely still here to roll up my sleeves and work with everyone, especially for our kids. Superintendent Acevedo, you're correct. We are here for our kids. That should be our North Star. On another note, welcome to all our new principals, APs, our new staff, and welcome back to our such hardworking teachers and support teams. You are the backbone of our district, and our kids constantly strive to do their best because of you. So please don't forget that. We appreciate you so much. Have a nice night.
Thank you, Board Clerk Garza. Vice President Stewart.
Thank you, President Critchfield. Good evening. So since our last meeting, I attended the California Association of Black School Educators Conference. I attended workshops on chronic absenteeism and literacy programs, one that they started in Rialto, which was really cool. They partnered with USC. So it was really nice to learn about some of the things that I think are important to kids and education. I do believe that we need to look at an equity strategic plan, and I'm going to continue to research that and hopefully bring that forth. And I am really excited to attend some of their next conferences. I met with Superintendent Acevedo and President Critchfield. I also spoke with a lot of local and state leaders on Saturday on just basically education, what we need for our kids, ironically money for facilities. But I talked to a lot of people, including Adam Schiff, Robert Garcia, Josh and Alan Lowenthal, State Senator Tom Umberg, and it was just really nice to hear them just be able to partner with them and to talk about education with them. I stopped by the training at our district office. I was only about there for about 45 minutes, which was great, but they were explaining engagement strategies for our K-3 students. And one idea that I had that I thought was awesome, since we're coming back in the new school year, was she talked about implementing peer tutoring, especially at the K-6 level, where you actually have your 4th, 5th, and 6th graders maybe tutor your 1st and 2nd and 3rd graders. And I just think it's something that maybe some of these principals, if you're watching our meetings, might think about, because I think that's a great way to get kids to help each other. I always have been taught that if you can teach something, then you understand it. So to have some of our younger kids teach them to even younger kids, I think it would be a great strategy to use. Today was my first day back to school, and so I do hope everyone has an amazing 2024-25 school year. I know there are concerns regarding reorganization. I have gotten those calls and emails, and I really hope that that goes better this year, and if anything, that we just continue to communicate as effectively and as often as we can to make this procedure as smooth as we possibly can this year. Lastly, I would still like to ask for the information regarding the forensic audit. I know we kind of put that on hold, but I do think that is something that's very important for us to look at. And then, like my colleague too, I would like to just say that I am so disappointed and I'm sad. I'm very solution oriented. So again, for our community members listening, for all of you guys that wanted this on the ballot, anytime something, even as far as allowing yourself to vote, comes up to this, you better be there talking, because it's not going to work if we're just the ones saying it. You can see that. The decisions might not be made that are best for our students, and the only way is for you guys as community members to come up and to talk. Because I do feel if everyone I talked to would have came up and talked tonight about you wanted to see us on the ballot, maybe it would have made a difference. Maybe. I don't know. But it's, in my mind, it's horrible. I feel the same sentiments. At this point, I'd like to cry too, because all we did was rob our kids tonight. All we did was rob our kids. So you respond to those emails from the chorus teachers telling them we don't have money for those chairs. And the sand volleyball pit that the kids at Bellflower wanted, you go tell them that's not happening. So for me, the only solution is to vote. You elect people. Vote. Do not vote for somebody who is not going to allow you to vote yourself. Elections come up in November. They come up in 2026. Vote. Use your voice that way. And show people that you don't agree with the things they're doing. That's the only way to win. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice President Stewart. I too am really excited about the district-wide breakfast this year. I've heard from a lot of faculty how much they enjoyed it in the past. I'm not sure why it went away, but I'm guessing it's probably a cost factor. these events can be pricey, but I think it's worth asking, what's the value of having a positive culture in your district? How much does it mean for our teachers and staff, the people who work with our kids every single day, to feel appreciated and part of something bigger? It's easy to talk about wanting a better campus culture, but actually creating those opportunities for connection and team building takes a lot of effort. It's hard to put a number on how much it matters to have our staff feel like they belong. But when it comes to paying for something like a breakfast, to me, it's a no-brainer. The idea to bring it back really came from Interim Superintendent Lisa Acevedo. And when she brought it up to me, it made so much sense. And I just want to say thank you to you and your staff. And thank you, Dr. Smith. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, everybody, for all the work that goes into that. Anybody who puts on events knows it's a lot that goes on to it. And you've done amazing work. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm excited for all of our faculty and staff to enjoy. And hopefully, Anthony, you can enjoy it a little bit. Because I do that at the college, too. Like when they have like classified appreciation and like, hey, Brad, you got to go. And I'm like, oh, man, got to work it. But it is nice being in those spaces. And I appreciate the work that you do while everybody, kind of gets to enjoy. So thank you. I'm really upset, and I'm sad about what happened tonight, but I own it. This is not a failure of our staff or the efforts that went into it. There was a lot of effort that went into getting us in the best position possible to make the best decision possible, and you all did everything you could. This is a failure of your board. And we failed our kids today, and this is the first time I've been sad at this dais, and I'm disappointed. Not because I disagree with anybody, not because they didn't have some reasons, but where people's hearts were tonight they weren't in the place that is going to best serve our kids, and it's sad. It really is sad. And that's all I'm going to say. And we will move on. We will move forward. We'll have a great breakfast, and we will charge forward together. I am very excited about this school year. We do have great things happening, just like Patrick and team showed today. We have a lot to celebrate. We have a lot to be excited about going forward. And hey, this was a learning experience for everybody, and I know we'll be stronger for it in the long run. Have a great, that's not how you finish a meeting. I was just going to say bye. Hold on. Forgot we were at a meeting. All right, informational items. Does the board have any questions regarding the informational items this evening? No? If there is no objection, this meeting is adjourned at 9:17 p.m. until the regular board meeting to be held on Thursday, August 22nd, 2024. Have a great night. Have a great start of your year. Thank you all for being here.